Hey, what's going on? Hold on one second here. Let's get this rocking.
Pinball land. What's a good word?
Twitch. Let's say we lose. There we go. I was going to say, what happened to the chat?
Yeah, right. It's like, you got it. What's going on, everybody? We are kicking off the Flippin' Out Pinball channel, Flippin' Out Pinball streaming channel tonight with an Oktoberfest stream with Josh Kugler, the lead programmer of Oktoberfest. We have Bill Webb with us from Special Windlet Pinball Podcast, and then our trusty partner over there, Steve Bedi, who a lot of you know from the podcast. So let's see if we're getting any sound here. No sound.
No sound.
All right. Let me look into that. Give me 1 second.
Maybe just be my end. Hard to hear.
Hard to hear, says Lord Helmet.
Is it hard to hear or no sound at all?
Zach says maybe just be my end. Hard to hear, Lord Helmet.
Now we see nothing.
Dun, dun, dun. All right. So Ken's adjusting the levels, so let us know if this makes the difference in the world or if there's something else we need to be adjusting. Lord Helmet says better. Jeff,
better, guys.
Jeff
Is this
from
a little
This
bit
Week
better?
in Pinball. And Zach's in here, too.
We're going to get these audio levels done. All right, good, guys. I want to reintroduce everything here. We are, my name's Ken Cromwell and Bill Webb. We are from Special Windlet Pinball Podcast. We are kicking off the Flippin' Out streaming pinball channel, and that's, you're here, right, at Twitch, Flippin' Out Pinball. And to kick off the stream tonight, we're running Oktoberfest, which is like the newest game from American Pinball. And with us today, we have the lead programmer of American Pinball here and Oktoberfest. It's Josh Kugler. So, Josh,
Hey,
welcome to the show,
joining us,
man.
Josh.
Welcome to the show.
happy to be here. And I see that Joe Schober, who's the other programmer working on the game. I don't like the term lead programmer.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry.
It's very much a collaboration between the two of us. If anything, Joe's probably put more keystrokes into it than I have. But I see Joe has joined the stream, so he's going to keep me honest all night. When I say things wrong about the rules.
No, this is good, man.
When I say things wrong about the rules.
Joe, what's up, buddy?
He
A
will be
little
quick
banter.
to correct me on any mistake I make. And if it was the other way around, I would be quick to correct him.
Absolutely.
On any mistake I make. And so I'm happy that Joe was able to join us to be on the chat.
It's an honor to have both you guys here and to kind of kick off this machine. And now we're not going to take a ton of time here. We're gonna get playing to Oktoberfest. Lurking in the background again is our buddy Steve Bedi. He's
Chicken
been on our
Steve.
pinball adventures, so Steve is here. We have all the mics live. We have 3 mics live here at the studio table. We've got 1 mic live at the pinball machine. So what we want to do tonight is just for the next hour and a half, 2 hours, get used to Oktoberfest. Hear kind of the stories behind it. Let Josh and Joe kind of interact with chat. And if you have any questions, we encourage you guys to go ahead and ask about, because it's not many opportunities or times that you get something like this going down. So we appreciate both of these gentlemen's time.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. And, yeah, looking forward to this.
Well, we should also let everybody know I'm using you guys as guinea pigs tonight. We've put fresh new code on here. Barely tested. Okay, maybe that's not completely true. So we're going to test out
Sounds
some
like
new
the stream will
code.
crash anytime, right?
Exactly. I'm prefacing all of this, and when it crashes,
Right.
like I said, I'm going to point the finger at Joe, who's immediately going to point it back at me. No, just joking.
That's awesome.
But it will give the viewers tonight a chance to see a few of the new animations we've put in, the change in some of the behavior and certain things, and we'll try and highlight some of those things so any of the owners who are watching or people who've played the game will pick up on things that are new or different.
For sure.
And my guess is this code will be available for download in a couple of weeks after we we'll work through any last bugs in it.
So we'll see the first of the beta testing here.
Exactly.
If it does crash, we'll have Steve Bedi do some juggling to entertain everybody.
Right.
He's a renowned
Steve's a renowned
juggler.
juggler under the
Yeah.
influence of a beer or two. I
Which
suppose.
really fits the theme well, since we do have a juggling mode.
one of the
So
modes
we
is juggling.
really should have just said that this is an intermission to do live juggling to bring the theme to life.
The thing I like about juggling is that it's immediately available to you. So for those that like to have a multi-ball, you can jump right into a multi-ball in this game fairly quickly.
You can. And one of the things we did, and we're looking at potentially tweaking this, was Joe Balser at one point came into my office right before one of the shows and said, we should just start the game in multi-ball. I said, Joe, I don't know if we could quite do that. And what we did do is make it so that juggling would come up as one of the first options. So if you didn't know what you were doing,
Right.
you might pick juggling. And actually what the game does, is it'll normally offer you a tent mode that you have a Stein for, because Steins have a big benefit. We can talk more about that.
Yep.
And if you don't have one of
Steins
those,
are kind of like power-ups also, right? For
they're
different
power-ups,
modes.
and they actually have two capabilities. They give you some power within the game. It might increase the length of the playfield multiplier or the bonus multiplier or increase value of jackpots. But each Stein also boosts a specific tent.
Okay.
And if you have two Steins, it boosts that tent scoring even more.
I did not know that.
So the game will suggest to you a tent that you have not yet gone to that you have a Stein for.
Right.
So rule number one when you're playing the game is you want to enter tents that you have a Stein for, because the scoring is going to be double or triple.
Makes sense.
Okay. So that's sort of the general rule. And again, it'll kind of always suggest that to you.
Okay.
We're trying to help you score.
Absolutely. And it's nice because I noticed when you are starting a mode, the modes in which you have Steins for are first selectable for you, it seems. Like they're readily available. So it takes a little bit of the guesswork out of what you have.
Right. And
Right.
it's always going to be pretty clear, too, because when you look on screen, you're going to see the logo for the tent, and you'll see the Stein if you're there. I had to laugh. We had a Oktoberfest owner send me an email to report a bug.
Okay.
And he said, I went to go start this tent, and the Engler Pale Ale icon was on the door as well, and it shouldn't have been there. And then he commented, and when I was selecting the Stein, instead of telling me more time in tents, it said boosts, and I forget which tent it was.
Right.
And then 20 minutes later, I got an email that said, never mind.
Nice.
As he kind of figured it out. And like with any game, there's some things to figure out there.
Absolutely.
But, collecting Steins is a good thing. Collecting ducks is a good thing. Collecting calories is a good thing.
Okay.
Outside the pinball world, people may not think calories are good, but we've decided
or
that
Steins.
right,
Potentially harmful.
Right. Beer, calories, Steins, in this thing, they're all good. Consume them as much as you can.
Absolutely. So why don't we go ahead? Let's start a 4-player
let's
game.
jump on.
Let's jump on. And then Josh and Joe, if you guys don't mind, if you can handle some questions in chat, that would be great. A nice opportunity for people to ask questions. Full disclosure on this game, we've purposely not put a lot of time on it because we kind of wanted to learn about this game and experience the game at the same time as Josh was here in studio with us to kind of walk us through. So forgive us if the play isn't up to your caliber tonight, but it's a learning experience and we're looking forward to it. So who would like to do the honors of Game 1 of Oktoberfest on the Flippin' Out Pinball channel?
I think Steve, man, he's right there.
All right, Steve Bedi, let's go, buddy.
4-player? All right.
Yeah, 4-player.
Steve, they want to see you juggle anyway. So maybe we'll have to make that happen.
So Slap Save, who is our buddy Chris, he's wondering if there are any updates on animations coming soon, or if those are pretty locked and loaded at this point.
There's a lot of work going on animations. One change you'll see in this is the animation when you enter a tent, which is probably the most criticized animation in the game. And it was a placeholder all along, and it was one of those, we should have already replaced it.
Okay.
So that one's been updated, for example. We're constantly changing them and tweaking them. We're doing some work now on the out-of-mode screen, the screen you're seeing during normal gameplay. We've got a new version of that in the works.
Okay.
So we're continuing. Our first goal was to get everything to have something. And we've pretty much accomplished that now as we're working through some of the mini wizard modes. And then we're going to continue to go back and improve the animations that are there.
How many wizard modes are in this game currently?
So the plan is for 4 mini wizard modes, as we call it, and then 1 master wizard mode.
Okay.
Right now, in the current code out in the wild, one of the mini wizard modes is there. When this next code release drops, 3 of the 4 will be there.
Okay.
The 4th one's pretty close, but we're not going to hold up the release until that one's done. And then we'll finish up the final wizard mode.
Okay.
The one that's out there in the wild now is Duck Derby, which you get to if you've collected 50 ducks. You're able to start Duck Derby, which is just a really fun mode. It's a 2-ball multi-ball.
All right.
One of the 4 duck targets becomes your duck. And some of the shots are lit green to help move your duck through the pool.
Yep.
But if you hit one of the other duck targets at that point, then another duck becomes the duck you're advancing until you shoot your duck target to get back in control.
Okay.
So when that's happening, you're actually helping another duck advance, which is not a good thing.
In your opinion, to kind of get the scoring going, what would you say is a pretty lucrative mode to start?
Well, the key, obviously, as we talked about, is to first have a stein.
Okay.
And it really becomes your different preferences. So there's a couple of modes I always want to use in stacking, which is Food Frenzy and Bumper Cars.
Yep.
Those lend themselves well to stacking. So if I don't have balls locked yet,
No.
I might go for
there's a
Looper.
magnet there.
Because I just like to shoot the roller coaster ramp.
Right, okay.
I do like duck hunt and target shooting if you have the knocker in the game in particular.
Right.
I know you have a knocker in this game because we actually use the knocker in
Not allowed
that
to have
mode.
knockers in the basement, Josh.
No knockers. So, if you're going to put a knocker in the game, we figure let's put it to good use. So those two modes fire the knocker when you make the various shots. So it's sort of kind of that fun sound of the knocker.
I do love a knocker.
Everyone loves it.
Player 3, did you want to jump in, or do you want to bring up the rear and
I'll
back
bring
clean
up
up?
the rear, that's fine.
All right.
But one of the things that Joe's been working on is score balancing. Okay. So the reality is our goal is that no mode is really necessarily worth outrageously more than another mode.
Yeah.
And obviously stacking it with multi-ball, I recently put up, I'm not even going to tell you the score of the game because it'll scare you guys. But because I really effectively had stacked modes that I had multiple steins with multi-balls. And that really, it can accelerate the scoring.
Awesome. What up, Scott?
So I'm in chugging, but I collected my stein here, so I should have a little bit of an advantage, correct, Josh?
Right. So what you'll see on the bottom of the screen, and my eyes aren't that good, but in the lower left, if you have the stein when you're in the mode, you'll see the stein icon. And if you have more than one, you'll see multiple.
Okay.
So my eyes are not that good. I'm pretty sure there's a stein there. And it also tells you across the bottom what you still need to do to finish the mode. Not that you're looking up at the screen when you're playing, but at least if you're playing with people who are nice, they can tell you, what else you might need.
Yeah, finish this. Or...
Right. Okay, so in this mode, he just completed the first phase, which was beating Inga, and he will not be beating Otto tonight. All right, so I guess I'm up. So now let's see if I can not embarrass myself.
Yeah, go for it.
No, it's definitely a good game.
Of course, this will play differently than the game in my office.
Oh, for sure. That's the same thing I was thinking. This game played differently at 12 o'clock this afternoon when I wasn't having beers. So good times as we play musical mics here. This is fun times to see what Josh does here.
No pressure, huh, Ken?
Yeah, no pressure at all. I want to give a shout out to Scott at Pin Stadium. Pin Stadiums are on this game, and for streaming purposes, it's definitely advantageous. So
it looks great on here.
Yeah, it does. Thanks, Scott.
Yeah, we got all the all-stars in this chat tonight, it seems like.
Scott in chat. We've got Zach, Many.
Chris from Slap Save, or formerly. I don't know how you'd say that.
Right.
Jeff, This Week in Pinball. You got Carrie Hardy. What up, Carrie?
Carrie, what's up, man? How are you, buddy? So again, for those of you that are just joining in, we've got Josh Kugler, who's one of the programmers here in the studio. He's playing Oktoberfest right now. He's on the mic, so he'll be answering questions today in chat. We've got Joe, the other coder, who's in chat. He'll also be answering questions. So we've got both of the main men here at American Pinball. How'd it go there, Josh? Not good? You all right? All right, here.
Rough start for everyone.
So I notice there's like a trend with games at American Pinball and even like Jersey Jack Pinball where they're not ridiculously high scoring games. So if you're in the millions, it's a respectable score. Whereas you're not in the billions so much. Is this another game that kind of lends itself to what some would consider lower scoring?
Well, I think our scoring on this one's a little bit higher.
Okay.
I think on our next game, just because of what the theme is, we're actually going to probably go to a little bit of a higher scoring level. But the same thing, our goal is going to be similar in that when you're playing Houdini and you break 1 million for the first time, you had a really good game. That's sort of a big milestone. Where I think on some games with the scoring, you sort of don't really know. I would say on Oktoberfest, that's 10 million. When you break 10 million for the first time, and that's not an easy thing to do.
On Oktoberfest?
Okay. You had a really good game.
Blew it up.
And, if you're in the 5 million range, I think you're going to still feel pretty good. At 5, you're feeling really good. At 10, you're feeling great. I'm looking forward to someday breaking 50.
Is that attainable? I mean,
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. My my high score right now is at 47.
Really?
And that was...
I feel guilty wiping off your 5 million score
I'm
there.
pretty
Right.
sure
But
that
by
was
the
the
way,
real
that's
score.
probably close. That's probably 7 times higher than my previous high score. Okay, so just to
Everybody
put-
has one, right?
So just it was a case where I've been surprisingly bad on this game in stacking.
Okay.
Which I look every once in a while like, why am I this bad? I never seem to effectively stack because it's not that hard.
Right.
And that was a game where I actually, I think I had 4 multi-balls during the game, stacked every one of them with an appropriate mode, and just really put it together.
Okay.
And it'll probably be 6 months before I'll put up a score like that again.
I gotcha. Are you at liberty to discuss kind of some of the design elements of the pin, or do you feel more comfortable with the programming?
Talk about anything you want.
So we had a question from Slap Save. He wants to know if you could explain a little bit about the level of difficulty of that beer keg ramp.
Well, like any side ramp, it can be a challenging ramp. Now, what's funny because Schober and I talk about this all the time because neither he or I have a problem making it. Now, Joe's a much better player than I am.
Okay.
He's a ranked player. He's a tournament guy. I'm a recreational enthusiast player. Once you get a feel for it, I can. In most games, I'm going to be able to get 3 balls in there.
Okay.
Now, we did make a code change. There is a setting now to leave the balls in the locks between games.
Okay, so
Now-
that's nice.
Right, now, for the coaster, it doesn't really help because you have to still earn your 3, but
Right.
it gets a little more action and it speeds up restarting. But for the barrel, where you can steal locks, it gets a few more multi-balls in there.
Okay. So you can steal multi-balls from game to game if they're
Game to game and player to player.
awesome. Okay. Very good.
What do you have? You can choose a Stein more than once.
So
I feel like I'm blind. I can't read what's on that screen to save my life. I didn't realize my eyesight had gotten that bad.
Yeah, let's help Josh out with
Well,
some
as
of
long as
the
you guys
print
tell
there.
me the questions I need to answer, we'll do fine.
Zach was saying how fun that right out lane is to nudge when the ball's going down there and try to get it back either in the shooter lane or back up into play.
And in addition, there's the outlane saves. So there's 2 targets above. We actually in the latest code are making those a little harder because it turns out those targets are a lot easier to hit than we thought when we first saw it on paper and even when we started to play it. And we're finding it's getting too many saves and getting game lengths a little long. So this code just makes those a little bit tougher.
So this code now has
Yes.
that update.
Yeah, so it makes it just, I'm sure I didn't check the settings on it, but yeah, it makes it just a little bit tougher. Now, if you have the Kernenmeister Stein, then it's still going to make those a little bit easier because that's one of the benefits of that
easier.
Stein. And then what happens, depending on settings, after you've earned a couple of what we call easy saves, you get a hard save. And that's when you get thrown into a mode where you have to earn the right to continue. And there's 2 of those modes.
I've not seen that.
One of them is last call, and the other is reentry. Reentry is a plunger skill shot. That's all it is. So you get 3 tries to skill shot it into the tent scoop. And if you do that, you get to resume your ball. And if after 3 tries, your ball ends. Last call is an interesting one because you have to spell the word sober via the various stand-up targets around the playfield. So for some letters, you have more than 1 target you can hit. But because it's a test to see if you're sober, the flippers are actually a little delayed. So when you press the flipper button, there's a little bit of a delay before it happens. So it takes a little bit to get the feel for that. There's a pretty good ball
I think
save on
the
it.
whole thing is doing that right now for me.
So
With
it's...
the score.
I think it's Josh's turn.
Yeah, Josh's turn.
Oh, right.
I appreciate you double dipping there, though.
Already almost had our first party foul of pinball.
Hey, thanks, Carrie. I'm trying to keep the ball in play, but I'm trying to be polite and make sure Josh gets his time on the pin. You know how it goes.
Yeah, we're not greedy with our time.
No.
We're very generous.
We're
We
very
don't,
gracious hosts.
Yeah.
There's no reason for us to be blowing up a game here
All right, Josh, let's
No.
move on.
on Twitch
I mean, we're ranked players and
when we can
stuff.
live. Yeah, we're not even ranked in the house.
I'm not
Yeah.
even going to try because Ken's probably just going to delete my score anyhow. So.
Yeah. You know that's inevitable.
Right.
But don't worry,
good
we'll be
time.
at your house next week and he'll light your machine.
Yep.
I will say this. You have to remember to use your Magna saves because the first 10 or 15 games, I just forgot about the Magna saves in general.
Okay,
So
so-
it's like you need that's a pretty vital part if you're going to hit that barrel lock. you need to use your magna saves. Because to come out of that orbit and try to nail it on the fly is extremely difficult.
Well, the nice thing is the game will do a lot of magna saves for you.
Yes.
So anytime you hit an inlane switch, it'll activate the magnab for you on that, for a brief period of time.
Okay.
So if you hit that left inlane and hit the right orbit, it's going to grab it for you in that case.
Okay.
And we wanted to do that so you didn't have to learn that skill. It's just kind of an acquired skill to remember the buttons there, to get the timing down. So it'll do that for you. And this code has some new logic around that. One of the problems in the previous code, sometimes it would do that when it wasn't really a good time to do it.
Right.
And would mess you up in a mode. So we revamped the logic around that to make it a little bit smarter about when to grab it by the flipper, when to grab it by the lanes, and when not to grab it at all.
Okay.
So when you first start playing the game, you don't have to worry about it. But yeah, if you want to start getting your scores up, using that to drop into the upper lanes to get the playfield multiplier advance is a good use. Certainly to get that lock, it is a lot easier off the magna save to hit that ramp shot. But you'll find when you play, it's going to do it a lot for you.
Okay.
And we just, as I said, tweak that to make that a little bit easier.
How many magna saves can you bank?
As many as you want. So you can keep earning them, and you earn the saves by hitting the right ramp, the 180 ramp, or the captive ball, the Newton captive ball combination. But you have to hit it hard enough to actually hit the ball, as we call that the high striker.
Okay.
You have to be able to hit it hard enough to get it around to actually hit the stand-up target. And those two shots alternate.
Okay.
So if the right one's lit, after you make that, then it's the captive ball. And then you can accumulate those. And there's a Stein that makes it easier. I think you get 2 for 1 or 3 for 1, depending on the Stein. And Joe will correct me right now if I'm wrong.
Where's Joe?
On what that Stein does.
Well, we got some interesting chat going on, though.
Let's go in on chat, Bill. Why don't you bring us up to speed
We're
here?
going to leave moms out of it, per se.
Oh,
I see
there's
that
some mom
one.
chat, huh?
That kind of
Come on, baby.
stings some people. Let's not do that.
All right.
Yeah, being drunk can definitely affect your flipper response time.
I know that when I was talking to Zach earlier, I think he said, for those of you that are looking to get into like an Oktoberfest, I think flipping out pinball, I believe he said he had 2. And I think they're readily available. They're ready to rock and roll. So the thing that I appreciate about Oktoberfest, for those of you that like a social game, a lot of people go to the bar, you play some golden tea, and you got your buddies around, and you're having some beverages and food, and everyone's talking. And this is a fun party pin for me. And just kind of the feeling that I get when I'm playing Oktoberfest. I mean, heck, I'm drinking a beer right now and I'm playing Oktoberfest. I'm sitting down with one of the programmers. I got my buddies here. I love that. That's the kind of stuff I like about pinball. It's fun.
Well, certainly one of the things we're going to have to do tonight, maybe the next game, maybe the third game.
I know where you're going.
Is we're going to play one-handed.
Yes, we will.
There's actually a feature.
Some would argue that I'm already doing that, but
well, and we might as well play that one because then at least we have an excuse for our bad play.
Yeah, right. I was playing one-handed all night.
There is a new feature on the game that if it's turned on, that you can just walk up to the game, hold both right buttons for a few seconds before you start the game, and then the entire game is that way. So rather than having to go into operator settings and do it, which certainly on location wasn't going to be viable for people, or in your home, you go up, you hold it, and you get a message on screen. If you start now,
you could have all tournaments like that.
You're in one-handed play.
Yeah,
and,
great.
We've joked about where you could play with your drink, and if you don't finish your drink before you finish your ball,
turn it into a drinking game.
You're eliminated.
Hey, there's never a problem with me finishing my drink before I finish the ball.
All right, so these machines out on location, is there going to be a way for people to see, okay, hold these 2 buttons down?
There's nothing right now that'll tell that. We are going to add in a feature we have in Houdini is game tips in a track mode.
Okay, yep.
That just rotate. So we haven't dropped that into Oktoberfest yet. We have a few things planned for that, but that'll be one that'll explain that.
Beautiful.
The tricky part on that is we have to know that it's enabled. So that's going to require some additional code to check, is that feature turned on this game to allow what we call player selected at start of game.
Delayed flipper mode. Which is that, drunk mode or what?
Last call.
Okay, last call mode.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they were talking about it in here, and I haven't seen it yet, so I wanted to ask your opinion. What does it delay it by, like half a second or something?
It's a lot less than a half second. A half second would be like an eternity.
Okay.
And it's probably more like a quarter of a second maybe, and then the delay becomes a little bit less as you complete letters.
Okay.
So the other part of this is when you're playing is you see these five, because sober's 5 letters. See, I'm already half sober. You see these 5 very, very attractive people on the screen. They're a little blurry, but they're very attractive. And then as you start to spell sober, well, you can imagine what happens as things come into focus.
It's like the morning after when you wake up.
Exactly.
You your arm off. I get it.
Then you realize that you are sober at that point, and if that's the case, then we let you continue to play your ball. And if you're not sober, you don't get to continue to play your ball.
Tapping the keg.
And
so where did the idea come from for the Stein race?
Look at that multi-ball effect.
With the being able to control both flippers on one side.
So to go back, when Schober and I first looked at the layout, we were kind of concerned the way the layout was, whether or not we'd get the ball to the upper right flipper enough.
Yeah.
And Joe had already put the magnet there, but we said, boy, it'd be nice if you could have some control over that to get the ball there. So we went to Balser and said, hey, can we get an extra button put into the cabinet so we can make that controlled? And, it actually was less of a battle with him to do it than sometimes things are with Joe when we want changes. And he went along with that. So that got us the button. And we're like, okay, great, we've got this button. And we were just brainstorming one day, and I think it was Joe and I. It becomes a blur after a while. And Joe's in Virginia, so he and I spend a lot of our time on Slack communicating. And we were kind of brainstorming around what else could we do with the button now that we have it. In that brainstorming it came up, one-handed play as if you're holding the drink, and that's where Stein race was already a mode we were working on, and it was a natural fit to incorporate it into gameplay.
Okay.
And then from there came the idea of just letting you play an entire game one-handed, which is really fun to do. There was a stream done by Marty from Head to Head. He streams under Melbourne Silverball, and I was at like 2 o'clock in the morning. I was watching, and I made him put the game into one-handed play. And he played the game so long in one-handed play, I had to keep reminding people in the chat that he was playing one-handed. Because after a minute or two, he got so good at it that he was playing surprisingly well that you wouldn't have realized the whole thing was one-handed play. So once you get the hang of it, it's pretty good. At first, it's a little difficult, but it's a lot of fun.
All right, Josh is up.
Nice ball there.
And
not really, man.
Ken is good at cradling.
Yeah, you got a good ball.
All right, time to...
It's very clear. I was testing the code on that one, and I do cradle balls. The best pinball games that I have is when I'm cradling up
Ken
for a
does
while.
cradle balls.
Long ball time.
Good time. But I mean, all right. So again, I'm not professional pinball player of the year, and I've got maybe 20 or 30 games on that, and I'm able to adequately hit that left keg shot. That side ramp shot from the upper right hand flipper. Yep. A lot of it is just knowing your machine and knowing where that needs to be on the flipper, and the magnet save, it does help pretty tremendously.
Yeah.
Is it easy? No, but it's absolutely attainable. It's not a shot that's overly frustrating once you kind of get your placement on the flipper.
But if you
Like any game, you got to learn the shots.
Well, yeah, and honestly, that's the thing too. Once you get comfortable with the shots, because you have the game in a certain spot, somebody comes in and moves the game, or you move the game, or whatever, and then suddenly it changes, and you're just like,
is that Corona?
Yeah.
Hey, there we
Bill's
go.
drinking.
Bad boy Bill's in the
Playing
house. Little Corona. What do you got there, Steve?
I have a
Space Camper Cosmic IPA.
You ever had one of these? Never had one of these.
I just did right now. You gave one to me.
Not
Thank
bad.
you, man.
And it was
Thank you.
delicious.
Yeah.
Kansas City going on.
Thanks, Scott. I did hammer out a little Deadpool last stream, so I'm not totally horrible. How's it going, Josh? How you doing, bud?
That's
Oh,
nice billiards.
hopefully better
What's
now.
going
Let's
on?
We got some scoring going on by Josh.
Oh, yeah, he's lighting it up.
Joe Scobers here's also in chat. Joe, in tandem with Josh, went ahead and coded Oktoberfest. So say hello to him. Feel free to ask these guys some questions. And let's have some fun tonight. Now, if you do have access to a beverage, whether that that is of the adult persuasion or of the safety persuasion, encourage you to go ahead and grab it because we're going to be here live for another hour and a half.
Yep.
Let's just have some fun and let's get a little party atmosphere going.
Joking.
This is a party pin.
It is. You know, I have to address this 50-50s. Honestly, I wake up at 4:30ish for work. So if I start drinking 50-50s now, I'm using a sick day tomorrow. So I can't jump in on that.
50-50s.
Yeah,
One-handed 50-50s.
no. I honestly, I mean, Ken can verify. I mean, how many times do you see me with a beer in my hand?
That's
Flippin' Fargo, thanks, man. He's saying very nice stream, guys. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
I want to thank Zach at Flippin' Out Pinball, Zach and Nicole, the owners of Flippin' Out Pinball, for considering us for this opportunity to kind of stream these games. The way this is going to work, guys, on this channel, when these new games come out, Zach and Nicole are going to make sure that we have them, and we're going to stream them until the next new game comes out, in which that then old game, I guess, would be taken away for the new stuff. Our streaming style is a little bit different. We encourage having guests in. We like to have the mics on. We like to interact. Well, I guess face-to-face isn't necessarily
talk about
the
the
best,
game.
but-
Have
Nice ball, Josh.
banter back and forth, and
So it's going to be fun.
just a different kind of stream.
Oh, who's that?
Who's that?
Oh, Josh.
Oh. Oh well, if he grand champed it, man, that
like
that
he
means our
coded
night's
this.
No,
over.
it's Food Frenzy channel.
Oh, Food Frenzy
All
champ.
right, so we're still good.
Food
We're
Frenzy
still
champ.
streaming.
All right, player 3 had high score 11.
Eternal bliss. Hey, that was me.
Nothing like a ninth place ribbon there, Ken.
You need a refill there?
Well, it was 11.
Let's go with a little different. Let's go with a little FNO for a little flippin' out pinball.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we definitely encourage flipping out pinball for your pinball needs.
Let's
Zach
see.
and Nicole, wonderful people.
Nothing says third place like me.
Like
Player
like,
one. Who's player one?
like an 11th place ribbon. All right,
All right,
Bedi.
all right. Hey, Albert, Pinball Nerds Podcast. What's up, buddy?
Albert,
Thanks for
what's up?
stopping in. I stopped in and I was checking out. Albert was streaming Humpty Dumpty the other night.
Nice.
Like I turned on a stream, like the last thing that you expect on a pinball stream is seeing a little Humpty Dumpty. But that was pretty awesome. Good times on that stream. I wish I could have stayed a little bit longer. For those of you that might not have checked him out, check out his streaming channel. It's got a podcast.
Oh, I missed it.
So,
Do the
like to support the community. Sorry, go ahead, man.
Do the lock balls carry over? The lock balls carry over from one game into another, or no?
The beer barrel balls are stealable between players and between games. So I'm not sure. I wasn't watching if we have any in there right now.
Okay.
So as long as you have lock lit when you hit it, there's already 2 in there, and you put the third one in. When lock is lit, you get the multi-ball.
Okay.
The coaster locks, no. You have to earn your 3 locks to get that multi-ball. Now, again, it'll leave them in there between game if the settings there, and part of that's just so we don't wait for the balls to drain before you start the game. The balls will always empty when the game
kind of
gets rebooted, or if you go into
Oh my
service.
gosh.
That's one thing about my getaways. It locks the ball in the supercharger, and if you don't, get the multi-ball, then you got to sit there and wait for those to drain. So it's kind of irritating. But okay.
Just to bring everybody up to speed again, Josh Kugler, one of the coders of Oktoberfest, is here with us in the studio. His partner in crime, Joe, is also in chat, so feel free to ask these guys any questions here about Oktoberfest. Or anything else at American Pinball, right, Josh? Anything else?
So is Joe correcting me on anything yet? Are we doing okay, Joe? Have
I think
messed up
so.
on anything? I'm guessing I'm okay.
Yeah,
so
I think
far.
you're doing all right. I haven't seen Joe really any type of ridiculing.
Of
going
course,
on.
more tequila, then the more likely I'll say the wrong information.
So
And
we're going to get a bunch of tequila in you and then talk about your rumored themes that are potentially
Sure,
coming
we'll
out.
talk about that.
Nice.
That's what
Take
I like
a lot
to hear.
more tequila than that to get me to.
Hit the record button. guys.
We've got liquor stores pretty close in
cross.
the area here, so don't even worry about that. Thanks, Slap Save. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it.
And we will be from this point forward. We will be streaming at least once a week now. So
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is how it works too, guys. I mean, if you get an opportunity, if you're here in chat and you haven't followed the channel, we encourage you to follow Flippin' Out Pinball, because what'll happen is as we attain an affiliate status here, which means we've streamed enough hours and we've gone ahead and we have enough followers, we'll be able to offer some fun things to the people that are in chat and all that sort of thing. So follow the channel. That blank box that you're seeing to the left of your screen will be filled up with some extra graphics and fun little goodies as it
So it looks like, is that Lloyd who just posted a question there? SS
Yeah, so that
Billiards?
is Lloyd. SS Billiards says,
Hey, Lloyd.
Games being built in the new building yet? he's
No,
asking.
we are not in the new building yet. It's been a painful process getting to the new building. We are still crammed in, which is really just a real royal pain because our building is really too small. It's like hard for people to work, to get around. Last I heard, the walls for the offices are going up in the new building. They're starting to get the lines set up. But it sounds like we're still at least a month or two away. I'm looking forward to that because it's closer to home for me, which is good. And currently my office is also the conference room. And because we are so short on space,
A lot of meetings in your office,
invariably, there are other people just camp out there because we don't have enough space for everybody.
Right.
And so Normal, our marketing guy, sometimes camped out in there. Dan, our sales guy. And every once in a while, I just have to say, all right, guys, no more talking the rest of the day. Go someplace else because I can't focus and I can't work. And some of my most productive time starts at 5 o'clock when everybody else leaves.
Yeah.
And that's when I can actually really sometimes focus in on work. So I'm really looking forward to getting to the new office. And I know the production team is. It's just, they're constantly having to move things around just to be able to get games in and out and stuff. And, fortunately right now, whatever games get built each day, pretty much the next day, they're
gone,
picked
right?
up and
Yeah.
gone.
I noticed that when I came in to pick up Oktoberfest.
I got a couple
We're
times.
flipping out this stream here. I stopped in and you guys were cranking games out. Like I wasn't surprised because I knew they were shipping, but I didn't realize in what capacity you guys had the line moving. So that was kind of cool to see.
Things are finally moving. We
Yeah.
had we were moving and then we slowed down because of some parts issues. So they finally got all of that, straightened out. The challenge is sometimes parts come in and they get rejected because they're just not 100% right, and you just can't use them. So they finally got that worked through, and it's kind of the pain. Unfortunately, we'll probably see on each time we start up a line.
Yeah, right.
Hopefully, we'll get better each time and getting ahead of that. So at least now the line's really starting to move. So still pretty good backlog, but at least now the games are going out every day.
Right. Heads up to Josh Roop, Loser Kid. Thanks, man. Thanks for checking in on the chat. It's an honor to have Lloyd Olson in here. I mean, as somebody that frequents Pinside, I'm going to take my turn in a second to kind of see Lloyd's interaction in the pinball community with, troubleshooting machines for different companies.
Yeah.
Tremendous asset to the community. So I really appreciate that that Lloyd is here. At some point, I hope to sit down and meet you and maybe get mugged on one of these pinball conventions.
Well, Lloyd and I, we had a falling out years ago, and
All right, Lloyd, thanks for coming by.
And we
Thanks, Lloyd.
and we made up a few years ago. And Lloyd knows I'm just joking, but back in the rec game pinball days when I was just first starting at collecting, so this is probably 15 years ago, and I had gotten a Twilight Zone and I was shopping it out and redoing it. And I posted on Rec Games Pinball, I was looking for photos because I could tell that the game I had not been put together right by the last guy. And Lloyd piped in on the thread and said, you should take your own photos. And anybody who was back on Rec Games Pinball back in the day know that when Lloyd spoke, that was it. And that pretty much killed the thread because nobody was going to go against Lloyd and give me photos. So actually, I emailed Lloyd. I'm like, Lloyd, and I explained the situation. He's like, oh, yeah, I had never really thought about that. And, so I was able to get, photos and I talked to Lloyd about it a few years ago and we joked about it and it was pretty funny and we've been good friends ever since. So.
Some of the best relationships start that way, though, with some good banter and some good headaches.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, sorry, I'm catching up on chat now, guys. Sorry, guys, I'm a slow reader. We got Loser Kid in here. Loser Kid does the Pinball Nerds podcast. Anyone that hasn't checked it out, give it a listen.
Loser Kid does not do the Pinball Nerds podcast.
What? All right, so
Loser Kid is Josh Roop
that's half a beer.
and
in
his
me.
partner Scott, and then Albert Elgar does the Pinball Nerds podcast out of Canada. That's all right. I can multitask here.
Sorry, guys.
Shoot it again.
Oh, I like that.
Why are we in family-friendly
I just
mode
saw
or
your
not?
rebound there.
Did you see that one?
Yeah.
You know how long it took me to practice that?
I noticed the Twitch delay is less time.
I shortened the delay on
Yeah.
Twitch because I didn't think we'd have any
Gotcha.
controversy here.
F-bombers.
Well, yeah. Well, what are you gonna do?
0 and counting so far.
I guess you can't backhand that left ramp. I've tried. Have you been?
Oh yeah, you can. It's hard, but I've done it not necessarily off of a rest.
Yeah,
but
close to no cigar
off of
for me.
off of a
So not a cradle.
off of a shot.
Yeah.
I've done it off a cradle. It's pretty tough. It depends on the flipper strength.
Yep.
Oh, that's the other thing I forgot to do on this code.
Tuna
That was
delay.
bad.
What's
Okay,
that? All right, you're gonna hear it here.
Right.
Everybody
So-
can complain about this on Pinside
Right, so
tomorrow.
we put the new code in. What we should have done is adjust the right flipper strength down.
Okay.
So the new code is a little bit smarter about the left ramp. So it lets you have the flipper strength a little lower during gameplay, and then when the ramp comes down, we automatically increase the stripper strength. And so the advantage there is it's not so hard when you're hitting the scoop or the targets on the left side.
Yeah.
So you can lower it back, 2 or 3 notches. But then when you need it strong, and that also helps keep them from overheating.
Yeah.
If you have them really maxed out, they heat up quicker, and you
That's
don't know
awesome.
when flippers
Yeah.
heat up. So yeah.
so cool that you use
So
That is
hey,
amazing.
So Joe, let's remember to make a note for the release notes in caps to tell people go back now and lower your right flipper setting to typically the same as your left. Since we now have this change, they're gonna have to get production to start doing.
Zach says that's
as
pretty
well.
damn smart, Josh, and he also wanted to add that that's nicely done. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
So,
it
thank
was we're trying to get the best balance there, and it was sort of like, why don't we just do that and make it
Right,
smart?
right, for sure.
We screw with the flippers enough on the player. We make them slow. There's a mode where we make them. There's a mode where we make them a little bit weaker. We haven't talked about that one yet. So if we're doing all that kind of crazy stuff,
Now,
we at least should
that
do
happens
it to
in
help
Food
the
Fight,
play.
right? With the calories or something that
it's
I
in
heard.
calorie
Now it is
coma.
your turn, so I don't want to delay your
So
your
let's play,
pinball
and
action.
then we'll talk about calories.
Let's get that.
Love
I want
the-
to do a quick shout out. I'm sorry, Bill.
Oh, I just want to say, love the frick.
Yeah, I wonder who that is. Tuna Delight. He says thanks for streaming Y in 2D though. So at one point when we get our 3-dimensional camera filming equipment, we'll get it done. But I did want to say I appreciate Tuna. I know that you listen to our Special One Lit Pinball podcast, or you used to, because you used to contribute in our threads. So,
Yeah, so
thanks
thank
for
you.
coming in. And again, I'm Ken. He's Bill. We are from the Special When Lit Pinball podcast out of Chicago. And we were given the opportunity to stream the newest games by Zach and Nicole, the owners of
little
Flippin' Out
bit of a
Pinball.
grace period.
Tonight's
Yeah.
Oktoberfest with Josh Kugler live in studio as he discusses the game and as we play the game and as we kind of have some fun on stream tonight. So this is going to be good times.
Couple of drinks, all good things.
Yeah, Lloyd says anybody that has not played Oktoberfest yet, do it as soon as you can because the game's a heck of a lot of fun. And then get yours from Flippin' Out. So nice little plug. I'll say this. I've been behind the theme since it was introduced. I wasn't
There's
sure
some
about the
Magnum
gameplay
reviews.
because we didn't have a
Oh,
lot
but
of
he
time on the
blows
machine
the
when
new
it was
side.
debuted at Expo in 2018.
So you can actually release it whenever you
They're
want.
just
No, it'll
It was
release
tough.
on
I think
its
we had
own.
3 games on it.
Yeah,
It's
I
unfortunate
really
that I
like
made the
it.
save.
Now we've had the
successfully
game
and then
in
hit
the studio
shot.
here for a little over a week.
But we haven't
And
played it.
we haven't played it a
couple of
lot.
games.
There's always a honeymoon phase with a pin, and I realize that.
That was an auto.
I think I played enough
there.
pinball to kind of
Yeah.
get a feel if I'm going to want to continue to play a game or not. And this has been a
That's
really
your
fun game.
Magnab
Yeah, it
light.
truly has.
Does that mean you
So
have
I was
that?
looking forward to
Right,
playing it
so
tonight because
when
I
you do
purposely haven't been
manual
playing
as
it.
well.
And to
When
have
it's
Josh here
yellow,
playing it with him and kind of learning some of the
I
ins
have
and outs,
control.
it's pretty
If
fun.
It's
So
green, it means it's going to do
it's good
four.
times.
And then it's
So when
red
it's
when
on
it's
top,
out.
Nice.
I'm the guy with the nugget
Yes.
shirt.
Okay, so
Actually, this
between
shirt was a
yellow and
gift
green.
from
So, if you hit
Christian
an
and
inlane,
Sarah Line.
It'll go green.
They had
Nice.
sent me this shirt.
And what do they host?
And this is like a brewery out of Pennsylvania, and that's Sarah's the host with Christian of the Miss Pins Pinball Podcast. So, little love to the nugget. I like it. How'd it go?
Well, I had a mode. I scored some points. I don't
that's
know
all it
what's
takes.
I can't see my score from here. I did okay. I haven't hit the upper ramp yet, so I got to show that can be made.
No, it's good. It's good.
Just busy. I had a successful Magnab as far as grabbing it to go for the side ramp, and then I missed the side ramp.
Oh, hey, you know what? It's all in a day's
What
work.
we were just talking about over there is there's the lamp indicators by the
Come on,
flipper
Bill.
and at the lanes
Burrito
that tells you
Bill.
about the Magnab.
Okay.
When it's yellow, it means it's available as a player-controlled Magnab. If it's green, it means it's set for auto grab.
Oh, okay. Now that makes
So when you
that
hit the
makes a
in
lot of
lane,
sense.
it'll go green
Yes,
briefly
yes,
because
yes.
it's only good for
Yeah.
a few seconds.
Okay.
And then it'll
75
go red when
K
it's
to-
active.
Okay.
And then if there's
Short
nothing
plunge into
there,
the
it
stein
means
for
it's
an-
not available.
Yeah,
you
it's
don't have any
Oktoberfest.
Magnabs left, and So that does change color to kind of clue you in on what's happening.
What is your favorite mode to play in the game? Because there are how many tents?
There are 14 tents.
And each tent is associated with a mode.
Yes, 13 out of the 14. The 14th tent is then the mini wizard mode.
Right.
After you have visited all 13 tents. You don't have to win those tents. You just have to visit them. So every tent does have a way to win it. So I guess that's a good thing to talk about is, well, when we get to a player that actually has visited a few tents, we'll talk about the coloring of the tent icons.
Hey, we're just warming up.
So we'll come back to that too early.
We're just warming up, right?
To see that.
It's too early in the stream.
But we'll explain that a little bit later
Okay.
when we get a few more tents lit up on down in the lower portion. At some point soon, we'll have some good games. So this is Food Frenzy, which, as the name describes, Frenzy. I see people are confused about FUD. And people think it's FUD, but it's you with the umlaut.
Right.
Pronounced,
Anything.
ooh. So
Get
it's
those
Food
calories.
Frenzy. So it's just sort of a little bit of a play on words. And people, it's not a German word.
Makes
and that's
sense.
correct.
Something you'd see on a license plate.
It's not
perhaps.
a German. Right. So that's what that is. It's not FUD Frenzy. It's Food
No
Frenzy.
nudge, Bill. Get
And as
lucky.
you can see, we have our character on screen consuming large quantities of
Choose
food.
a stein more than once.
But what's very different about this Frenzy versus many is that each unique switch you hit increases the value.
Rooster.
So just going for the spinner, not how you maximize this mode.
Okay.
Sweeping the Oktoberfest stand-ups or the other stand-ups, that's what you want to focus on early, is hitting as many distinct switches as you can.
Right.
And then you go for the spinner or the pops.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll catch you up to speed here on chat real quick. Lord Helmet says he really congratulates all of us for great work. He'll be checking out future streams for sure. He said, Josh,
Thank you.
The game looks great. Beer and friends equals super fun. Super fun theme. He said that he enjoyed it in Texas. Flipping Out Pinball, which is Zach, thought that my shirt was pro-cannabis shirt because I guess there's a nugget on it. It's actually, I would imagine, like a hop for a beer. Good times. What else? Flipping Out Pinball also says he likes the looper mode. Pin Stadium, the game really surprised him and it draws you in, and once you play it, then you're hooked. Kerry
I'll
Hardy
tell you
says
what.
he got to talk to some local pubs around me and to see if there was interest in getting this on site. Now, that's an excellent question. I'm going to take my player 3, but if you don't mind discussing this, how do you think this pinball machine appeals to local bars, pubs, and breweries? To me, it seems like it would be a match made in heaven if you're going to have a pinball machine on location.
Natural fit.
There's no doubt that our distributors, the first people they were hearing from were barcades.
Yeah.
All wanting the game, and microbreweries and all of that. And it's obviously a natural fit. And when Joe Balser brought up that he wanted to do Oktoberfest, which has been a dream theme for him for 20 years, my first reaction was that, like a lot of people had, which is Oktoberfest, isn't it just about beer and babes? And not that there's anything wrong with beer and babes, but not necessarily a theme you would think of. And so the first thing is I started doing research on it, and then I realized it's not just about beer and babes. It's a family festival. It's about food
zigged when I
and
should have
music
zagged.
and rides and all of that. But at the same time, when you look at this resurgence in pinball, barcade is a big part of that. So it's certainly going to be a natural fit for that.
Yep.
But I think what's funny is when the theme leaked, for lack of a better term, and there was a lot of negative reaction. People, oh, it's about beer. That's not a good theme. It's not family. It's not this and that. And then, of course, you had the people who actually knew what Oktoberfest was, who were saying, no, it is a family thing and all of that. And I think,
See, I didn't know that. As an American, I think we just have this,
right? We picture it from the movie Beer Fest or whatever it was.
Exactly.
That's how we all thought of it, and that's not what it was. And I think that actually worked in our favor in a lot of ways, because we had 5 or 6 months of people, kind of being really down on the theme. And then when we rolled out the game for the first time, I think it really surprised people, because all of a sudden they realized, this isn't what I was expecting. And I've come to the conclusion that it's a much better thing to have people have really low expectations for a game and surprise them than have really high expectations for a game. And if you look over the last couple of years, we've had games where the expectations were so incredibly high that no matter how good the game was, it was not going to be able to live up to those expectations.
But that's pinball. Everybody's a critic.
That is pinball.
Right.
That is, yep.
Star Wars, Wonka, dialed in. No, but,
whoa.
let's just be honest. Those were all games that we were like, this is going to be the greatest game ever. To the point that that the initial reaction was never going to be able to meet the hype. And I think with most of these games, as people got to know, they go, oh, okay, the game is good. But
You're up when you get a
people
chance.
have
I know
this
you're in the
thing in
zone
their
right now.
people have this thing in their
Yeah.
mind about the game that it gets so high. So
And that's natural.
Right,
Yeah,
and
and I
almost
think
better.
you need to play the game too.
Well,
you know?
and that's a really important thing. You can't judge any game, even
You
from a
can't.
stream. You can
Yeah,
get a sense of
exactly.
it until you put your fingers on the flippers, until you sort of learn the rules a little bit. And I was on a podcast recently and was giving the host a lot of grief about his tendency to assess things based on the first images of a game. And you can react a little bit to an art package, but even that you can't really often tell from a photo. To really assess a game, you need to play it. You need to play it more than once. All right, there's a couple of games out there. Once is enough. We won't name titles. But most games, you got to get a half dozen or a dozen games on it to really get a feel for the game and to be able
agree
to
there.
assess it.
Agree
All
there.
right, so let's play. Now that I've insulted all my competitors, maybe not.
No.
No, nicely said though.
Is there a headphone jack on the game or no?
No, there is not. I'd love to get one. I'm sure at some point we will be able to get one of the guys who make this to make one that's compatible with this, which would also make it compatible with TNA.
Yeah, right.
And Alice Cooper, since they're using the same platform.
Okay.
So somebody should be motivated enough to do it now because there's plenty of games.
Yep.
It'll work then for Suncoast game as well, I would expect. Not sure what they're doing amp-wise, but I would suspect it'll be similar.
Albert from Pinball Nerds Podcast wants to know if it's true that there's going to be an add-on where you can install a urinal inside the coin door on Oktoberfest.
That is not true.
That is not true, Albert.
But I am sure there's some modders in chat.
Right, who just took
working
that?
on
Right.
I just
Stadium
used the
pail.
one. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right, right, the coin bucket. I thought that's what that was. It's like a bedpan for pinball, right? I do also want to recognize that Jason Fowler from Slap Save Pinball Podcast is here.
Jason?
He wishes us all a hello, so it's good to have you in chat. It's good to see a lot of you guys active in the pinball community in chat, and it's great to have people that are enthusiastic about pinball checking out these games. And with the Flippin' Out Pinball streaming channel here, you're going to see the newest games streamed by us and I imagine by Zach throughout the week. So it's awesome that everybody stopped in, man. This is
Plenty
good
of
times.
content, yeah.
Good times.
Yeah, I think we need to get a trough like at Wrigley Field for anyone that's
Oh,
ever been to
gosh.
Wrigley Field
Oh,
in front of the game.
Corey Hardy just recommended that we use a catheter. That's horrible.
Like a bird.
Like a man.
I'd almost rather have open heart surgery than to be catheterized.
Hey, man, nothing like having a mirror above you while they're doing it. Still awake.
Unless you're pouring the beer into the catheter. I don't know how that would work. Like direct to the bladder.
We're not talking about butt chugging.
I've heard of butt chug.
All right, hey, let's keep it clean here. You got a little out of hand. Sorry about that, Zach. Sorry, Flipping Out Pinball.
Hey, we're just quoting movies. It's fine.
Good times, good times. Has anybody here got any? Have you seen like an Oktoberfest in the wild yet? Because I know that they're out there and they're starting to ship to homes. Anybody out there?
All right, the BB's up.
Yeah, very nice.
What is this, ball 3?
Yeah,
All right. Well, we got some catching up to do here.
So I think where people might be concerned that we're going to blow up the game and see all the modes and the wizard modes, I think it's safe to say that this is just
Not
a
gonna
nice little
happen.
introduction to the game this
That
week.
is certainly not happening based on our
Right.
play so far.
But we're having a good time. So it makes
We
up
are
for
having a
that.
good time. This is fun. Butt chugging for the win. There we go.
I like it. I like it.
So, Lloyd, traveling companion, flask straps to your ankle, rubber hose, and part to secure to your part runs up your leg. That's like the stadium pail. Or is it traveling companion?
Stadium buddy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that would not be a bad Oktoberfest add-on because you can literally play one-handed, have a beer, and urinate all at the same time.
I was thinking about that. Somebody could have been outside the theater for Endgame, and probably could have been selling those with a movie over 3 hours.
See?
You know, that- I just saw the movie finally a couple of days ago, and yeah, when
No
those credits
spoilers, no
roll, remember
spoilers.
people who go running for the door? It's not because they're running to go home, and
It's because they have to go to the bathroom.
it's clearly that's a long movie, but.
And, a couple buckets of popcorn, you got some fiber running through you, too. I imagine you got a couple issues on both
All right,
sides.
yeah, especially if you buy one of those huge drinks there, probably not a good strategy. for that movie.
No. But this is good times. What we're going to do here after this game, we're going to take a quick Flipping Out Pinball timeout. And then what I think we should maybe consider doing, Josh, if you're up for it,
One-handed.
should we do the one-handed mode
Absolutely.
for everybody?
Let's do
We'll
it.
have a little one-hand tournament. And how about the loser has to consume a beverage quickly?
Sure.
The last place score. And the first place score.
All right, man.
No, Bill's like, I'm out of that.
I'll be drinking a Pepsi on fast.
I'll be drinking a Pepsi.
Just saying.
How about that sick day, Bill?
Yeah, I gotta save those, man.
Butt chugging is trending in chat here right now, so I'm not sure how this happened.
Yeah, buzz cuts are mandatory.
I think that was
Choose a Stein.
Albert from Pinball Nerds sparking the question about the trough style urinal underneath the coin door has now gone into catheterization and butt chugging. So
Yeah, let's move in another direction.
let's go into another direction. Do you have an idea as far as I imagine Oktoberfest will be on the line for as long as it's selling, or is there like an itinerary that you guys have in place as far as rolling out another game?
Well, we're working on game 3 and to some degree game 4 and to some degree game 5.
What is this, Deep Root? What happened over here?
Well, you always have so those games are in very game 5 is we go to lunch and we chat about stuff.
That's right.
Right,
We're working on
right,
game 6.
That's where out there you start brainstorming on that. Game 3 is in a whitewood phase at this point.
Good.
So you're looking at all of those things.
Can you comment? Because I know that you guys both, and I'm going to jump on my turn in a second, but I think it was kind of shared that there were 4 kind of themes that you guys were considering. Can you say or not that Game 3 would be one of the 4 themes that were mentioned?
What I'll say is what we've said about the 4 games is we're certainly not doing all 4 of those themes.
Right.
I will tell you that right now.
Okay.
And I think it's very likely we will do at least 1, if not 2 of those themes.
Unbelievable.
And I will say that at least 1 of those is in progress. I'm not going to say whether or not that's game 3 or not, or game 4.
Understood, but
or
it's
game
out
5.
there. And those 4 themes, just to bring anybody up to speed that might be considering a future pinball purchase, we had Poker Run, we had Robin Hood, we had Sherlock Holmes, and we had Valkyries.
Right.
Correct? Okay.
A legend.
On that, I'm going to take my player 3 turn.
A legend.
We did have fun at Texas. We asked the audience to raise their hands as to which of those themes they most liked. The clear favorite was Sherlock Holmes. If you were watching on the stream, you would have thought it was Poker Run, because that's what Joe kept saying. That's a theme he really wants to do is Poker Run. So he's really pushing hard for that. I'm pushing more for Sherlock Holmes. Like I said, there's a couple of those that we're doing some work on, but I don't see us doing all 4 of those themes. But it was a cheap way to do some market research.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right.
We really got to see the reaction from people to those themes. So don't be surprised if you see us suddenly trademark 3 or 4 more names. It's a way to kind of get that out there.
Well, somebody just asked Animal House. Anyone thinking about doing that? I think that'd be a great theme, dude. Some Shamalama Ding Dong multi-ball.
Shamalama Ding Dong.
That'd be awesome.
Animal House could be a really fun theme. I think the interesting question on that, obviously the movie itself would never be made today.
No.
Or at least not in the same way. So that becomes a little bit of a challenge of making it a game. One of the other challenges when you look at older movies is whether or not there's enough content to make a game with the depth people expect in a game today.
That's true. Yeah.
Sometimes we'll talk about a theme and you kind of go, yeah, there's a couple of really great voice calls in it, but is there enough to really create a game today? And I think that's a bigger challenge with some themes.
I love a center post.
As well as, is that game carried over to
I hate the center post.
generation?
Yeah.
Do 20-something guys know about Animal Houses? For them, is it, what was the Will Ferrell school? Old school.
Old school.
Old school might be pretty
For
cool.
some guys, that's their Animal House became
Yeah,
that film.
yeah.
So I think that's part of the challenge.
Like The
Animal House would be a
Hangover or
really fun theme to do.
Roar it in.
I'm not sure how much of John Belushi's likeness you could use or not. And if you couldn't use him, then to me that's a no-go for the
licensing
theme.
is
But we talk about a lot of licensed themes now. It's certainly our plan down the road. We're not ready to go that route yet.
Well, there's a lot of those movies that, I mean, just because of PC reasons alone, you could never, ever make a game over.
Right. You'd have to choose. Obviously, we all know what happened with the monkey on the backlash, which gives you an indication of the sensitivity that exists now, even in the world of pinball.
Yeah.
And we absolutely respect that. And the monkey thing was sort of an unfortunate mistake that happened, and obviously right away we took care of that.
Yeah.
But for those who were worried, the monkey is in the game. If you're watching carefully, the monkey has probably already been on screen a couple of times if you've been paying attention. So the monkey does make appearances in the game. So it wasn't his fault what happened. So we did not feel he should be penalized completely. He's been banished from the backlash, although that's not actually completely true either if you look carefully.
All right, we'll got some questions when you come back after your turn. I like Carrie's.
Yeah,
Carrie's question.
I agree.
This won't take long, Josh says. I like that. I like that about him. He's a gracious guest. Allowing us a good time on the
What
machine.
was that cowboy movie from back in the day?
Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles.
Oh,
dude,
yeah, no, that you
Pretty,
couldn't-
pretty
you can't
controversial
touch
these
that
days. Little Blazing
Never
Saddles.
do that movie as a pinball
yes.
machine.
Yes.
I mean, homebrew, sure, but that's about it, man. You better not bring it to a show.
Yeah.
'cause-
Captain Red Eye. Can you spank the monkey? He says. Interesting. Hey, Josh, do you have any interest in making a Beetlejuice game?
You know,
Time to visit another.
I don't
we
know if you can
certainly
hear
have
him on
some
the mic.
people who think it's a great theme choice. So I wouldn't say no to it off the top of my head.
There you go. He wouldn't say no.
Strike.
So there's still hope.
There's an art package for you. If you need one.
We can get the art cheap for you. Yeah.
All right.
But I think that falls into my previous comment about, is there enough content in that movie? Ooh, I got robbed on that. We got to adjust your waterform.
Carrie was saying maybe like the world of Beetlejuice rather than just going up
Focusing
the
on
movie.
the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk of the sequel, but I think that's now been
Is that shelved? Yeah.
And maybe that's why the theme sort of dropped out of favor. Stern. I don't know if that's true, but it wouldn't surprise me because, again, is there enough content to really make a game? Oh, high score 12. Woohoo! I think we could just get a few star bucks. But, I do want to pause for a moment and say, look at that nice high score screen. We've on Houdini, and now here we've tried to at least theme our high score screens to, we felt
I love
like,
it.
why not bring it to life? And then what we also did on Houdini was the summary screen, a little hard to see here, to capture, your achievements. Early on, people would talk about, they had done this on Houdini or that. And somebody said just be nice to kind of be able to see that. And we implemented it there, and then we brought it to here as well. And it's nice at the end, you can see, how many tents did I visit? How many did I win? Those sort of those key metrics.
Yeah.
And
We
it's
had
sort of,
like
okay.
longest ball times.
Right.
And,
And that was one that we have one, it's highest scoring ball is one we
that's
added.
great.
That was something Joe came up with, and he was sort of surprised nobody had ever done that. Because sometimes you have that killer ball.
Yeah.
Right. And
Oh, yeah.
it was sort of nice to
a
reward
lot of gamers
that.
these days are, stat based.
Right,
The more stats you can squeeze out.
Right, and it's fun. So
The more
you,
entertaining it
you
is.
find something new. When we first put the length of game on Houdini, which we did right from the start, it was when I added that right from the beginning. And it was funny when we showed the game the first time at Texas, and people would be playing, and maybe somebody had the low score, but they say, "But my game was longer." It was
Exactly.
like, you find that rallying point, and part of it to me is people go, "I played for 45 minutes." Well, you know what? Now show us the score. Let's see the image of it.
What'd you do in that 45 minutes?
Let's see. And then one of the things we did add, it's on both games, is points per second. So it's not necessarily how long your game was,
Yep,
but
I saw that one.
what did you do with that? So maybe you had a shorter game, but you really maximized
Yep.
it versus I played forever and you didn't really score a lot of points. So lots of different ways, and part of it's make you feel good at the end of your game. It's one of the reasons why we have 14 high scores, which obviously ties to 14 tenths.
14 high scores.
Every tent has a high score value. So
it's always good to just enter your name, enter your initials. It just
and you know it's
I did something.
When it's your home game, you expect to have high scores, and somebody comes to your house and puts things up, and then motivates you to get their damn initials off your screen. You know, and but if you delete it, then you got 14. Modes, you've now got to put the high score against and beat the default. So I'm not sure you want to delete that too quick.
I think if you don't mind, Josh, we're going to take a little 20-second time out here. And then when we come back, why don't we start a little one-handed tournament mode, if that's cool. And we're back.
Woo! All right. So, was there some other question that you wanted me to answer?
Yeah, let's see what's going on here. We're gonna set up that one-handed tournament mode.
Are we doing this one-handed? Loser has to drink.
There's got to be something going on. All right, so let's see what we have going on here. I'm starting to realize that at 40 plus, I might need some glasses.
Maybe it's your screen because I can't see anything.
Okay. Well,
we need to get that projector going down.
I'm going to say
I
it's
don't
my
even think
eyes.
these glasses are going to help me. No, not at all.
People are liking the highest ball score. That's a pretty cool innovation. That's getting some positive feedback. Let's see.
People are liking Ken's God voice.
Gary Hardy goes 20 seconds. If that was 20 seconds, then the last time. And I really told. Oh, okay, there was a bad comment.
No, but that could
you'd be surprised about my unit of measurements too.
Right, of course, it's lines like that are making their way into the game when you have family friendly turned off.
Well, let's talk about. Did we talk about adult mode on this game? I mean, is that something that's going to be added? I think Steve was wondering.
So
I am wondering.
It's
Steve
actually
likes an adult mode.
The adjustments already in the game. There's right now maybe 5 voice calls that we have flagged as non-family friendly. We actually have a script writer working on lines for us. The problem we have at American Pinball is I'm the funniest person there, and I'm not that funny. And so that's a real issue, trying to come up with humor for the game. So we actually have brought in a script writer to create for us a bunch of funny lines for Otto and Inga, our main characters.
Right.
And most of those will be are geared towards the non-family friendly option in the game. And obviously it's going to be a lot of sexual innuendo because that's
the theme lends itself.
So
well
it's
to
mostly
that,
call
sure.
outs.
Yeah, mostly call outs.
That we're going to be seeing.
There are a couple of animation things that we have planned, and there's one. I know Joe's going to cringe because he absolutely hates this, and but it's happening anyway. Which is in Duck Hunt. I have planned that at some point when you shoot the duck will explode.
Okay.
And, we get a little blood dribble on the binoculars.
Lloyd is questioning the script writer when Nermal's in the building. Isn't he funny enough to...
Normal, it might be funny looking. We're going to pick on him. Shots fired. But Normal is not funny at all. He is fun to make fun of. And being a young guy and new to the company,
Nermal was a great guest on the Special When Lit Pinball podcast.
We do pick on him. Yeah, he was pretty funny on your show. So,
I didn't say he was funny. I just said he was a great guest.
Right. Well, we had a lot of fun making fun of him after he was on your show. And let's see if Normal knew this was happening tonight. I think he did, and he's not here to defend himself. So,
okay.
Accordingly, exactly right. He'll watch this later, and then I think you can actually probably type messages later. So, like the next time people watch this, Normal will be flooding it, defending himself. And Normal is actually pretty new to pinball.
And Normal is the sales and marketing manager.
He's the sales and marketing guy, and he's relatively new to pinball, and he's really done a tremendous job of immersing himself in the world of pinball.
Yeah.
And it's really been great to see that. He's trying to learn about a lot of games.
Enthusiastic.
He really knows a lot about Oktoberfest and the rules. He knows a lot about Houdini. So he's really jumped in with 2 feet to really try to learn about the culture and the people and the history and the games. Right. And that's key that he's been able to do that, and it's great to see him start to be able to talk more about games, and as we're working on stuff, throw out ideas and suggestions that aren't completely lunatic. Or now he says things where you're like, actually that might be a good idea. So he's probably thrilled the first time we tell him that. Oh, it's a good idea. So, it's not encouraging.
He's on a.
So let's be careful.
I love it.
Okay.
You want to settle a one-handed mode? Or
Yeah, let's do it.
So to do it, all you need to do
Are you gonna walk me through it?
is hold both of the right buttons.
Oh, I can do this without going into settings?
for
Yes,
four
you go
players.
into settings. So
Look at
hold
this,
the
ladies and
both-
gentlemen. So literally, you can't see me, but I've walked
New
up to the
code.
pin.
Okay, so-
I'm right-handed, so I'm going to hold
hold
both
the
right
both
buttons.
in.
All right.
Okay, so now it's telling you.
Get
now
out of
if you
here.
press
It's
start-
that easy, Josh?
Wow.
Yep.
That is awesome.
I'm buying 2 Oktoberfest.
So can people at home that have this game or out in public, can they do this now? Or is this just on this latest update?
This is in the latest code. Actually,
Thanks, Lord Helmet.
if people are on the 19.4.11 code, the April 11th code, it might have been in that release as well.
Okay, so
but you do then have
See you
to
later, Lord Helmet.
enable it in the features.
Okay.
I don't because
so that you can still do the two.
Right, so going
two button.
forward, it'll default to that being on. But
Yeah,
on
it's only on
games
the right side,
prior to
okay.
this code, the existing setting was on or off. Obviously, most people had it set to off. But in the future, this is now the default is to be player selected, being the option to enable it.
All right, am I player one here? Am I bouncing
So
up there?
this will be good testing of this feature right now. So
Josh,
I
why don't
recommend
why
that
don't
you
give us
hold a drink.
Yeah.
I recommend you hold a
You
drink.
have to hold a drink.
Well, you don't
Okay,
have to, but
that's
I
going to
recommend it
take
because
Drink
then
in
you
the
don't
left hand.
mess up.
Okay.
Right.
Now, see, now I'm mad I don't have a player
Yeah,
cam.
that does disable your. If you're of course, if you're holding a drink, you can't use MagNav, which
okay,
the left
that was
button
gonna be my
becomes
question.
MagNav.
Right.
So in this case, we'll just have to live without.
You could just hit it
MagNav.
with your knee or anything else in that
Or,
waist area.
Right. If you're doing one-handed, it's probably hard enough to play one-handed versus also using MagNav.
Loser plays pantless next game, says Jason Fowler at Slab Safe Pinball Pocket.
I think this is
What
supposed to
kind
be a
of stream is he-
PG-13
Yeah, I don't
show.
know why he
stream
would
does
want to
he
see
think
that.
he's
Actually, that's kind of interesting.
Oh gosh.
Anyways, let's see. All right, so there's questions about the next code update. We are playing on code that has not been released, and for people
Correct.
that are joining chat right now, when will this be public?
Okay. So actually what's happening is tomorrow I head out of the country for 5-6 days to go on a
Right.
fishing trip in Canada where I'm completely off net. No internet, no cell phone, no electricity. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to kind of draw a line in the sand right now.
Oh, yeah,
We're going to be testing this code internally.
That's messed up, folks.
Joe will handle any bugs that come up. Assuming nothing major is found while I'm gone, I get back next Monday night.
Okay.
I gotta watch
By
this.
Wednesday of next week, we'll make this available for beta for people who want to download and try it out. And if
Are you going
nothing,
to allow this code to stay on our machine? Can
Yes.
we be an advanced
Yes,
beta
we're
for
going to
you?
let you
Okay.
have this code.
Very
so you'll be
good.
able to play and let us know any issues.
Okay.
We'll run an
Doesn't
open,
void my warranty.
No. We'll run an open beta for about a week.
All right,
and
good.
if nothing of substance comes up, any minor things we'll take care of.
Perfect.
Then we'll make it an official release.
Nice.
It does have a couple of key bug fixes in it.
Yeah.
So we do want to get
Let
it
me,
out there.
Let me pass you your beer here for your left hand.
No, I
So
can't do
We're
that.
anxious to get this out.
Come on,
It's
man, you
got
gotta
a
hang on
lot
to your
in it. Joe, right now, it wouldn't surprise me if while he's watching this, right now he's working on the release notes.
Yeah, okay.
It would not surprise me if he's working on that. So, because there's a lot in it. A lot of it's bug fixes, a lot of improvements,
Right.
a lot of score balancing. I'm not sure how much of that he'll detail in the release notes. He's been very focused on that. One of the things that happens with Joe and I, Joe likes to work like 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. kind of stuff. So when I come in the morning, I'll see all the code he worked on and checked in at like 3 a.m.
That's
Then I'll
crazy.
be working on stuff. Then typically sometime in the afternoon,
And where's
he'll
Joe
come
at? Where does he
online.
live?
He's in Virginia.
Okay.
And he'll come online. We'll chat about stuff. So we're kind of working.
So he's done more
different hours.
at 3 a.m. than you've done by 4 a.m.
Well, absolutely.
He's an hour ahead, right?
And so it's nice. I can come and see what he did. Then
Yeah.
he comes online. He looks at what I did. But he's been doing a lot of score balancing of late. Now that
Okay.
we've gotten to play the game, we've got games out in the field that we're collecting audits from. So we're adjusting certain things, certain modes. We said clearly this mode is too hard. Nobody's winning.
Okay.
And so there's a couple modes we've made easier.
Okay.
We want a certain win rate. We don't want modes that you're going to win every time you
Sure,
play it.
sure.
But we don't want a mode that you're only winning one. in
Yeah, the
30.
modes aren't easy. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take my one-handed play here, and we have to figure out what the loser has to do. But secondly, when I come back, I do want to ask you a question about just your general experience and your feelings after completing Houdini and now wrapping up Oktoberfest, how the two compared as far as your, I mean, these are your first 2 games in pinball. I'll be right back.
Sure. Well, they are my first 2 games in pinball.
They are your
I
first
always
2
remind
being.
people that for both Joe and I, this is our second game. Joe did Alien, which is just by all accounts a phenomenal game.
Yeah.
And in fact, when Highway imploded, I waited a whole 24 hours before I reached out to Joe to see if he wanted to come work with us. And I know I'm not the only company who reached out to him. Somehow I persuaded him, I'm not sure how, to come join us. And that's been great. Having somebody else to work with on rules who knows rules is great. Because on Houdini, in some ways I was off on an island. Joe Balser doesn't get involved in the rules pretty much at all. So it's been great with Joe for us to be able to play off each other, brainstorm. We work on different parts of the game.
I wasn't working with Joe. I mean, you guys go out and grab a beer on a personal level, like after work, or are you guys just kind of 9 to 5 tolerate each other?
Yeah, Joe and I, Balser and I occasionally, we'll have a beer. In fact, he owes me a drink.
There you go.
Right now.
You heard
so
it right
Joe,
here.
if you're watching, he still owes me a drink for a wager. Regarding normal, in fact, because it was the wager.
What was the wager?
I'll happily share. I've had enough drinks. I can blame it on the booze. For anybody who was at Expo, Normal was wearing a outfit where he was sort of,
He was being carried by a German man.
Right, right. Or,
that's a word.
Right. And so, which was pretty funny the first day. And Balser said, "There's no way he's wearing that tomorrow." I said, "I bet you he wears it tomorrow."
Yes.
And we bet a drink on that. And Joe still hasn't paid off on that.
What was strange is when I went to American Pinball 2 weeks later and he still had it on.
I know.
That
we
was like a
finally
little
got
bit.
it off of him and burned it.
It's like,
It was pretty
Right.
funny. So Balser actually, still owes me a drink.
that's
for
a great
that.
costume, though. I like that.
But Joe is very much about the layout. He's very focused on that. He'll occasionally.
And you are up when you're ready for your one-handed
all right,
ball.
so let me
I
play.
just,
so we can
yeah,
keep,
I just want to keep the machine
We can keep it
playing.
moving, and then we'll come back to that.
Yeah. So I'm
This
going
won't
to love
take
this.
long.
Yeah.
All three will have
My brain's not wrapping around those 2 buttons at all. It's almost like when you're playing another game like a Ghostbusters and then you got reverse flippers and it's just your brain doesn't understand it.
Yeah.
That's how I felt with
No,
that.
this one's a
one-handed.
little, I don't know, more manageable, I think, than Ghostbusters.
Well, yeah, one-handed mode destroys me too, Jason. Hey, and Rorden Osborne is in chat, man. I didn't get a chance to say hi to Rorden, buddy. You're my buddy, man. We love you guys.
Absolutely,
Or we love you,
man.
Rorden. We love Australians. We got a lot of good friends in Australia now.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
You all right there?
That's a place to be, man.
What?
I just yawned. That's why it looks
I was
like I'm
saying
crying.
it looks like you're crying.
Yeah,
I was
at
like,
this hour, dude.
I didn't know this stream was affecting you. Now,
Yeah,
this
Josh
hour.
is in a mode right now.
I get
one-handed.
awfully emotional.
After 9 o'clock. Central
Let's see what
time.
he's going for here. It's going for bumper cars.
That's because I have the style.
I got the Stein for bumper
And
cars.
Rorden's on the expo kick, so hopefully we see you down here for that. Rorden, I don't know how that's going to work with my wife because we're actually due the week of expo, so
We'll
I
have to
might
find
just-
a Bill lookalike.
I'm just going to have to run to the
Little sun
store to go get diapers real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fell asleep in the parking lot for 5 hours. My bad, but we'll figure something out.
Now, Josh Kugler is currently taking his one-handed turn, so he's playing with only his right hand. Hey, are you holding your drink, Josh? Or did
Yep.
you? All
Got
right.
it.
Holding his drink in his left.
Is that the rule? We have to hold the drink.
You have to hold the drink.
Okay.
You didn't do that?
I
Did we figure out what we're
I
doing
was
for
the
whoever
enforcer.
finishes last?
yeah. Steve called me up on it.
Hey, Schober, I'm sure you just saw that
Damn
nice
it.
bug there.
Where's Schober? Oh, did you expose a little something there that
Well,
under the
It
radar?
was firing magnet.
Yeah, hopefully.
So there's a little
Oh,
issue
okay.
with the one-handed mode that we'll have to take a look at tomorrow.
Nice. Hey, cheers for catching it.
Well, that's why these things are good. These
yeah.
That's why
Hey,
I brought
thanks,
new
Zach.
code. Although that's why I've been out in the wild and just haven't paid attention to it.
We do want to thank you very much for spending your night, because I know after working a full day and then coming here, for those of you, I mean, we're in Central Time now, so it's 9:18.
I need to put my drink down for
And I
this.
know you've got an hour ride home from here, so you're not getting home to probably, well, we end this stream at
11,
10. We
11:30.
do keg stands and stuff until 11:30.
Keg
So,
stands!
Josh is getting home to like 12:30.
And then I'll be unwinding. But, this gives
But
me the
then,
good
what time are you going in
excuse.
tomorrow, though?
Well, I'll probably get into
American Pinball.
I usually get in around 8:30.
Okay.
I tend to get in a little later because I don't like to leave the office till typically
8:30.
6:37.
All right.
So I'll probably try and get in my normal time, but because I'm heading up to Canada tomorrow, actually first to Michigan, then Canada, this will give me a good excuse why I'm going to leave work early tomorrow. So I can get on the road and avoid rush hour traffic.
Right.
I've got like a 3.5 hour drive tomorrow, and then a 10-hour drive the next day to wherever the hell in the middle of nowhere we're going.
You're traveling out of the country a little bit, right?
Yeah, it's somewhere in the middle of Canada and some island on a lake that we're doing fishing. I'm not sure.
sounds amazing.
I'm not sure how I got talked into this,
Oh, that
but
sounds amazing.
it's with my brother and a very good friend from my college days and some bunch of other outdoorsy guys. So as long as there's booze and we're gonna have some nice Cuban cigars and steak, and then
And
I
an
guess
Oktoberfest
assuming
pinball
we
machine.
catch a lot of fish. I guess the final meal is all the fish we catch.
Yeah,
No electricity, so no pinball machine.
Oh. Wow, there's generators for that.
All right. There's no electricity. There's, I guess, no running water. It's a pump or something.
I'd be dead in 4
I guess
hours.
we have propane for heat and
I'd be
cooking.
dead in 3 hours.
So,
Put me next. Beer and propane doesn't mix well for me.
right. So we'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to being able to spend time with those guys. So it should be fun.
Cool, man.
I did want to take one quick second, though. I mean, for those of you that are watching Oktoberfest, if you're a casual pinball player and you want more time on this, or if you have questions, again, this is Josh Kugler. He's one of the programmers for Oktoberfest. Joe Schober is the other one. He I believe is in chat, so you can type your questions. For those of you that are looking at potentially purchasing an Oktoberfest, I would encourage you to go to Flippin' Out Pinball, and Zach and Nicole are the owners there. You can call Zach directly, and that's at 847-788-4876. I believe right now he does have a couple that are in stock and they're ready to ship. If you want a more passive approach to interacting with Zach, you can email him at zach@flippinoutpinball.com. The machine
Who would
is fun.
not want to talk to Zach?
I
Why
don't
would you
know.
email
I don't
if
know.
you could get him on the phone and hear that voice? He's
Maybe
got
if-
such a great
He does.
voice.
It's
that
the
very
buttery
Rock on, Rory.
soothing, relaxing, friendly
It is.
voice.
He's a man of many voices or faces. Like he's like Game of Thrones.
Right. Anytime
Game of
Zach
Thrones.
calls in and Dan, our sales guy, gets him on the phone, I'm always like,
Yeah.
put him on speakerphone. Let me hear
There-
Zach.
there you go.
Let me hear his voice.
I'm going in for one-handed.
See you, Rorden.
So on the one-handed mode, the top button is the
Is your normal. So the
right flipper,
The right flipper is your normal.
and the
flipper.
bottom is. And I almost feel like they should be reversed for my mind. Like
It's still effing me up, man.
Some people have
It
said
might
it
be
should
the
be
booze,
the
though.
other way, but to me,
I don't know.
switching both buttons
No
I
matter
think was
what.
even more confusing.
it's
Oh,
almost
fair.
it's
It's
one-handed
completely
reverse
different
flippers.
pinball.
It's
Well, it's hard because you're
it's
used
crazy.
to leaning against the machine, kind of.
There's
while
no
you're playing.
nudging really either. I mean,
Well, you could
try
still-
nudging it on
not
that.
if you're holding a drink.
Well,
but if you're
we're
otherwise
doing
you
the holding
could.
the drink
Right.
one-handed
But I think if you
version.
have your hand there, then also you forget. Like if you only flip the right for a while,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
suddenly you're going to want to hit it, then it's not going to do anything, and then that I think confuses you even more.
Boosts.
the Slosh Rosh Lager. Who's that taking after?
And if you ever take a look at the icon on that, you'll notice it's a beer, and I'm holding a shot of tequila.
I did not notice that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was. The artist did the first verse. I'm like, no. I said you got to have, one hand the beer, one hand the shot.
So we haven't seen the Wiener Dog. The Wiener.
That's
the
my
sli- the
favorite.
slide.
It's my
Nice
favorite.
one. All right, so what do you have to do?
That is-
Oh gosh, I zigged when I zagged.
Probably my favorite call out of any game in the last 2 years.
It is, and I think we appreciate that. It's like, oh, look at the poor Wiener dog. He's too scared to go down the slide.
So I helped
What
Ken
is that?
get this machine in the basement, and we played it like 3 games.
Yeah.
And that popped up, and we were dying laughing.
It was hilarious.
It was awesome.
It was like nothing I ever expected.
No.
Family friendly calls. Have you ever turned the feature on?
All right.
There's a bunch more coming.
Oh, nice.
Oh, goodness.
I already tried to use the
Oh.
flipper.
Oh. Hey. Oh.
You know what I love is
myself.
so I'm a personal like fan of Dennis Kriesel of the Eclectic Gamers podcast.
Dennis was a good dude.
And I don't know how long Dennis may or may not have been lurking in here, but to bring him out to speak, it was the mention of Zach in his many voices, and then Dennis chimes in, Zach
Boom,
and passive
there he is.
interesting. So, we had a little stream buffering there. So hey, Dennis, thanks for joining us on stream here.
What up, Dennis?
And Zach appropriately or inappropriately calls Dennis Den. I'm pretty sure he doesn't like that. But good times.
You know what we don't hear on this kind of stream, right?
What's that?
Dr. Phil.
Why would you even bring it up?
Hey, I'm sorry, man.
I see how
My
it
bad.
is.
My bad.
Let me open up some skeletons in your closet there, Bill.
Hey,
Hey, remember that night, that May 4th of 20? Never mind.
Try to forget it.
All right. Lloyd says when you text Zach at 3 a.m. to order your Oktoberfest, don't forget to order your Escalera too if you have stairs to go up and down. Now, I did forgot to mention that Flippin' Out Pinball is a proud distributor of the Escalera.
I would love an Escalera.
The Escalera stair climber is,
I would love one.
Is pretty impressive. Zonrith, Mr. Mackey. Okay. Yep. That's about right. How'd you fare there, Josh? Rocking it out? Who's bringing up the rear? And we haven't figured out who's going to do what for last here.
Steve's
Player one is.
Slow down on this drink.
Followed
I
by
might be finishing it real shortly.
Player two.
So we got about 35 more minutes before we wrap this up. Josh, is there anything that you kind of wanted to share about Oktoberfest? I know that you've been very active in a lot of the streams on Twitch. This may or may not be the first time you're kind of able to speak live on a stream.
I think it's certainly the time I've spoken live where it's having to type real fast.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a little easier just to kind of talk.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it's a lot easier certainly to answer questions. Well, one thing, just to hit on a few tips for people playing, the tent icons at the bottom. Two things to note about that.
Okay.
First of all, they're color coded. So here he shot the barrel and didn't have the lock light. He finally made it. Somebody makes the upper ramp without having the lock light.
It just goes right through.
Right, that's kind of always a bummer when that happens.
Right.
But the tent icons, they show different colors to give you different information. If it's yellow, as the one on the lower left is, it means it's a tent he's visited but did not win.
Oh, all right. So now we're talking, so that makes sense.
So he can go back and play that tent again and try and get the win.
I like that.
And getting a win has a lot of point value to you.
So the insert colors are very intuitive.
Yeah. So the one on the lower right, which is beer color, tells us he has the stein for that tent, but he hasn't visited it yet.
Okay.
If you visit a tent and win, you'll see that the tent is green.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
And the tent you're currently playing, he's not currently in a tent.
Oh my gosh.
Will be blue.
What's blue? I'm sorry.
The tent you're currently playing. If you're in a tent.
Okay. I got you.
So that's sort of the first thing to know about it. The second thing is when you go to select a tent,
right.
You know, rather than looking at the screen, you can actually look at the play field. And you'll see it move around.
Great
so you
idea.
can kind of spot which tent you want.
So as you're familiar with those tents.
And you can very quickly say, oh, I want this tent. Bing, 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 bing. And
So you're not waiting for the
I'm
animation.
Up there. I'm not looking at the screen. I'm looking down at the playfield. Much easier and quicker to select your tent.
Okay.
So people go, oh, it's too slow. Well, no. Once you know the game, you don't look at the screen.
Okay.
You will notice when somebody does beat the 10, if you watch the bonus at the end of the ball, it can be incredibly lucrative. The value in completing a 10 based on how well you do in the bonus.
Right.
And if you've gotten the bonus multiplier up, that has a lot of value. The way you get the bonus multiplier up is by collecting each of the 4 ducks on the playfield. Ducks are a good thing. Collecting ducks.
So the 4 duck targets increase the multiplier.
Increases the bonus multiplier.
I did not know that either.
It also lights the mystery award.
See, now that's the challenge of trying to condense all of your instructions onto a card on the apron, right?
Right.
I mean, it's a general overview for on-location play, but as you own a game in your home and you're able to kind of find out its little subtle tricks and nuances, it becomes fun to explore a game.
Exactly. If you're a tournament player, then you're going to want to learn about ducks and calories and the benefits of that.
But even if you're not a tournament player, but you're a homeowner and you don't want a game to be boring, this game has enough in it to where it's going to keep you finding new things, and I think that's important.
There's a tremendous amount of depth. So, if I were to compare Houdini and Oktoberfest, they're both very, very deep games. I'd say Houdini has a little more breadth to it, but Oktoberfest has more layers of strategy. So a slight variation of that. Both will keep you busy and occupied for a long time. but a little bit of a different approach in how we created that depth to the game. With the goal still being that you could step up and have fun and know nothing, but if you own this game, you're going to continue. My strategy around Steins constantly is evolving and changing. Over time, I keep changing the approach, which Steins I take when do I take them.
Right.
And I think Joe would tell you the same thing. And he's continuing to learn, even though we've written the rules, created the rules, written the code, we're still learning different ways to approach the game. And based on who I'm playing against, the situation in the game, it's not like there's one path through the game that leads to success.
I got to jump in
Josh,
here and respond
you
to...
have a couple of questions here.
Okay, what do we got? I can't see the screen, so I'm blind.
Well, first off,
Why does the magnet grab the ball? Hang on. Why does the magnet grab the ball without hitting the? I missed it. Without hitting the button sometimes. So
Okay.
you described this earlier to me.
Right.
I don't know if they caught that.
So we refer to that as an auto magnab, and there's a couple of different ways that occurs. Typically, it's triggered off the in lanes. And we do that to put those magnets into play and help the player. And this new version of the code has new rules on that. And so what that does is it looks at the game situation to decide which of the two magnets is going to be most beneficial to you. Is it the lane magnet because you're in a mode where that's the case? Or if the lock is lit or the bar is open, then it's going to grab it by the flipper magnet to help you. There's also a special one that after you've collected enough pop hits, when the ball exits from the pops, it'll grab it. And the high striker, which is the Newton captive ball combination, is then worth a lot more points if you can nail it off of that.
Gotcha.
Obviously, you can still go for the ramp at that point. So I guess I'm up.
You are up. Yeah, 2 to 4 a.m. That's the only time I reach out to Zach as well.
Yeah, but
and
then
he responds right away.
Zach or Scott don't sleep either. So I don't even know if that really affects
Scott's
either one of them.
very quick on the responses as well.
Oh yeah, dude, he's like okay.
Scott was helping me today a little bit.
Nice.
Because we put the Pin Stadium kit into the Oktoberfest today. So
I would assume maybe no instructions online yet.
for what?
Oktoberfest. It's new. It's a new game.
That's a great question. I don't know if it's a PDF. There might be instructions in the coin box. I have no idea.
Gotcha.
We just set the thing up. What's the deal with the lane save? Sometimes I just shake hard. I can't remember it. Sometimes I just shake it hard and maybe hit the mag button. Okay. I'll have Josh come back and explain the mag save because when you hit the 180 ramp on the right, it gives you a mag save. But there's times that the game will auto mag save for you, and then there's times where you have a mag save. Oh, there's a wiener dog. Everybody quiet. Listen.
Oh, that poor wiener dog. He is too sweet to slide down.
Thank you, Josh. That's my
Drink to
my
that.
favorite call out in pinball.
Unfortunately, the only reason we're hearing that is because I haven't hit the shot yet.
That's the only time I've heard it too.
Hello Gazer wants to know
I've
about
never seen the wiener dog go down.
about lane save. How can you activate lane save on the left, like the auto save? We'll talk to Josh when he gets out of his thing. Yeah, the wiener dog is awesome. But the Pin Stadiums on this, they look fabulous. And for streaming purposes, it's ridiculous. Again, we wouldn't normally have the Pin Stadiums up this high on a game like this, but for streaming, it looks really, really outstanding. Josh, can you do us a favor? We had somebody that had asked Hollow Gazer, about how you can activate the lane save on the left.
Okay, so there are these two targets on either side, and based on
Pointing above the
difficulty
outlanes.
settings,
There's a camera there.
so based on difficulty settings, it takes 1, 2, or 3 hits to then light the save, and then again, depending on savings, it takes another 2 or 3 hits to light it a second time, and then again, depending on settings, on the third time is when it will light the outlane mode, where you then have to complete the mode in order to actually get the ball save.
Yeah, Joe Schober just kind of simplified that. Outlane save, hit the target over the outlane a certain amount of times.
So if it's yellow,
That was like the Cliff Notes.
Right. So if it's yellow, it means you need one more hit
Okay.
to enable it.
Okay.
Okay.
If it's green, it means it's active. Current code out there, it shows red if it's more than one hit. We changed that to just being off because the red was confusing to a few people.
Yeah.
Right.
So yellow, and the reason we want the yellow there is if it's yellow and it's going down, then maybe it's worth risking the tilt to try to nudge it.
Thanks. Hey, it's Joe
and,
Bob.
Potentially then hit that to get it green to get the save. So we actually found it was a little too easy. So this code makes it a little tougher to earn because you were just getting too many outlane saves.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's
Makes sense.
One of the tweaks in this code.
All right. Hey, come on back in.
All right, we're jumping back on another
Yeah, I
one.
think we got another game or two.
gonna do a,
Who came in last? I guess that's the question.
That was Mr. Bedi.
Hang on.
All right, Steve. So you got one of two things. You can juggle, you can take a shot of something, or
Yeah,
you
I'm
can
good.
play pantless for Jason at slap save.
Probably the best at taking shots.
You don't want to help Jason out, huh?
Drinking, the juggling might be
Hang on. I want to see
embarrassing.
the scores, though. I had one good ball.
They're
You
right
got
up there.
65,000.
Yeah, that sucks. All right, where's the shot? Where's the shot glass?
All right, I'll give you a little something. You guys want to fire up another game, and I'll serve
Sure.
Steve.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And now we're going to see whether or not the
Are we
code
doing
properly
one-handed again,
puts
or are we
this.
going back to normal?
Yeah, let's go back to normal.
Yeah.
All right, assuming the
All
code
right.
works correctly and it does, then we'll go back to normal.
All right.
So
Hey,
we'll
either way, it's
go
gonna be a good
back to
time.
normal on this one. I do like the one-handed, but I'm telling you, for the way my mind works, Josh, is that top flipper button should control the left flipper and the bottom on the right.
Well, then your mind really needs to be fixed.
To have them reversed,
I
it
can
really
see that,
messes me
though.
up.
I can understand that, but I think that would confuse people when you're already accustomed to at least that one finger being the right flipper. Now it's backwards.
What's that?
Malort should be Steve's drink
Yes!
of choice.
Oh, I'm good with that.
Oh yes, Chris. the
Good
Pinter.
call. My favorite.
Do you actually have some, or
Do I have
I
some?
think there's some Malort in this house. Yes.
How else would I punish myself?
All right.
it's not showing up?
Oh well.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
There you go.
it's
Only in Chicago.
Just a little
delay.
little outside.
Let me go upstairs.
Delayed.
Let me go upstairs and get you a dirty glass.
All right. I'll take a dirty glass.
Let's fire it up.
Fire it up, Steve. You're player one, man.
Yeah, I might as well get this ball in before the Malort comes.
Yeah. This might be your best chance.
Welcome to Oktoberfest.
So we're good there.
Player 2. Welcome to player 4.
No, he's going to go pour it now.
What do you have? Schloss Rosslager, Oktoberfest. Now easier to stand.
Yeah, this game is incredible, though.
Well, what's interesting, we've played, I'm not sure how many games, and there's multiple modes I don't think we've seen yet.
Oh, yeah. No.
And,
Yeah, you guys have more stuff in
You know, it's
this.
funny. Some people go, "Oh, it's too many modes," but the idea is to have that variety. When you have this game, if there's only 5 or 6 modes, you're playing them every single time.
Yeah.
And, that the ability to have that nice variety. And you get asked about your favorite mode. Well, it's changing all the time based on what's going on.
Yeah.
Sky slide. Sometimes you're like, I want that, or how you're shooting. Sometimes you're like, I'm not making that shot.
Oh, that's
so
quite a shot glass.
I'm not
there,
going
Ken.
for that mode.
I won't make you do it that much.
Oh yeah, that's a double.
That's not a double.
Yeah, that's a double.
That's a double. You
That's
know
a
a double, right? I know a double.
That's a double.
That's a double.
Um,
I guess pour some
So-
out into Josh's drink. I understand.
no,
No, I have to drive.
I'm good.
That's true. Steve's not driving.
I'm Otto.
So I helped Ken set this game up, and I had never played Oktoberfest.
Beer barrel jackpot.
You look to see if you have it set up right. Where you got the back legs at? Because and they should be.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
The game is designed both Houdini and Oktoberfest. The leg leveler should be all the way in. The way the
Really?
the way the cabin is designed, that with the levelers all the way in, the game should be at the proper pitch.
Okay.
And actually, if you hike it up too much in the back, if you raise it up, the game will become potentially unplayable if you get it up too
Yeah.
high.
Oh yeah. For
The
sure.
left
Won't make
ramp,
ramps,
the way it'll come off the wire, it's just not going to play right. I saw Steve Ritchie did a post about Black Knight, and that's designed to play at a slightly
Choose
higher
internet.
pitch. He was raising the same issue that if you set it up too high, it messes with the side-to-side action in the game. It can mess with it in other ways. So I know some people like to put it all the way up.
Yeah.
Houdini owners will tell you it plays better. If you have it at the proper 6 to 6.5 degrees it's designed for, and the same with Oktoberfest. And that way you don't have to think about it. Just put them all the way in.
Yeah. I like that. Just little adjustments depending on your floor situation.
Right.
So I was saying,
Left,
so
right.
I played this game on, I think it was last Friday. Ken got it. I helped him set it. I helped him get it downstairs, set it up, and we maybe put in 3 games. And I couldn't stop thinking about it all week.
This show is produced and directed by Ken Cromwell.
I was like, I need to get more time out on this game. And I
Gonna empty my
freaking loved it,
Stein.
man.
Oh, yeah.
Right. We've certainly
it's a-
seen
it's
it
a
to shows people getting right back
kick-ass
in
game.
line. It's just
Well, and
it's a fun game.
You know, I was at Chicago at Expo, and the lines were so long where I was like,
Oh, Expo.
You know.
That was crazy.
So one of the questions was, how do you redeem the left touch target skill shot?
The left
Touch target skill shot.
touch. Oh, the mystery, the question mark target. It's a really hard target to hit. I mean, it's incredibly difficult. It's worth a ton of points. And as Joe's saying right now, it's very difficult to do. It's worth a ton of points. So to me, it's only when I consider going for it if I'm playing somebody and I'm really far behind, then I'll give up, pass up basically getting the easy Stein. So I'll pass up the easy Stein or other points to go for the big points. It's very hard to do. Actually learning the tent skill shot can pay off down the road when you get to the outlane mode, which is re-entry, which is all about.
Could you point on the glass the skill shot locations? And
Sure.
Because I think everybody likes a good skill shot, right?
what I'm doing every time is the tent. When it opens, shoot it in.
Right. So I'm gonna walk over to Joe.
Right. So the one skill shot is
That
up
first
here,
one is right up there.
which is the bar opening and closing.
The bar, okay, so it's the
and
bar.
that gets tougher each time as far as the timing on it.
Okay.
All right. Your second potential skill shot is the tent.
Second skill
which
shot's
is
the
going to
10.
score points, and if it's lit, it's going to start a mode for you.
So would you intentionally brick off of that closed door to come and get that, or would you soft plunge to the flipper?
You'd soft plunge
Okay.
it, either right into it or to the flipper, and then make the
soft
shot.
punch can go right in there.
Yeah, you can absolutely make it.
Okay.
And what I'm saying is the outlane mode called re-enter is no flippers. You have to plunge it right in there. Not easy, but I
Yeah.
can do it. You get 3 tries about every.
So you're coming
third
out-
time I
Okay, so
get that.
that's yeah.
Here.
Right, and drop it in
That's
there.
awesome.
Not easy.
Okay.
But make it, like I
That's
said, I
skill
could
shot
probably
too.
make that 1 in 8, 1 in 9.
Okay.
So I'm not doing it
Good,
for my
make it-
normal
make it
skill
that.
shot.
Games?
But for the mode, I can make that.
Okay.
Then this is the super high point one.
Okay.
Okay.
Super high
Right.
point
We've
skill
done-
shot.
We've gone
Which
through
is
that.
75,000.
Yep.
Okay. Then the most interesting one in some ways is this in lane, because that then lights this shot for the super skill shot.
So this
So that in
shot
lane
in
is
the
the
in
actual
lane
shot.
In the in
feeds
lane.
the flipper for the super skill shot on the 180
for the
ramp.
Super skill shot.
Wow.
And Joe, the scoring on that is.
So it doesn't show it on there what the scoring is.
Once it hits, then it'll change
Joe, do we have
on
the
here
scoring
and
for
tell
that?
you what
Okay.
it is. I don't know. I can't remember what the scoring is on that.
So 4 skill shots.
Right. And
Okay.
5 if you count the super skill.
Awesome. Nicely done.
Nice.
So hopefully Joe's telling us what the super skill shot is worth. I don't quite remember.
Oh, you're good.
I don't have super skills, so I don't go for that.
These people are drunk and they don't know what they're saying.
I'm all about the super skill shot.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Dennis.
Now I know that's what I want to go for. Is the super skill shot.
Yeah, the hardest one.
Yeah. Just to see if I can do it.
The Market Trends fans, I think he suggested we're drunk. I'm not sure if he's talking about the Flippin' Out Pinball streaming channel hosts, because we're certainly not drunk. We're drunk with pleasure of playing Oktoberfest. We're drunk on joy. That's for sure. And we're drunk being in the company of Joe Schober and Josh Kugler.
Big time.
So,
Bring on the
so Joe
music.
Schober says he believes it's $30K for the in lane, and then $60K for the ramp, Josh. Then $80K, then $100K, et cetera, et cetera.
So what is the super skill? Is that the 100K?
So I think he's saying it builds if you hit multiple.
Oh, it builds. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, if you can start it. And that's a very gratifying shot in general in gameplay when you can hit it consecutively. And I'm not sure if we've really gotten the right scoring on that yet or not.
So I need a short plunge into the left in lane.
I didn't know that angle was possible.
Seems
so I feel like an
impossible.
idiot now.
That's got to be like a real.
Hey!
Oh, Steve almost nailed it.
Yeah, and and the key is over time practice to figure out which one you like. And if you're a high skill player, obviously that combo of that in lane and the right ramp. One of the things that's interesting with that right ramp shot is we made a change to that mech. I think it was right before Texas. We made a change to that ramp, which dramatically improved it. It just made it far more makeable. It's actually a very minor change, and sometimes it's all it takes. To the point that Joe had to go back and reevaluate the super skill shot because we were concerned it got too easy. That the ability to now make that ramp consistently, and I'm not sure if he's fully tweaked that or not, or I know he was evaluating it in the score balancing, because all of a sudden we said, that went from being kind of a hard shot to a much cleaner, smoother shot, and that was a late change we were able to make, and really improve that shot. And there you go, there's the ramp shot again and again without having it lit.
He's had bad luck.
We have to check that setting because he should have had it lit at the start of the game. So I'm surprised that's
it's Steve.
He's just dancing with the machine now.
After he
It's not our camera.
just moved it.
Ken taught me well.
Yeah, right.
Play it too.
Well, as far as the music goes, we haven't talked about that.
Music's great.
There's a lot of new music coming for the game.
Really?
In fact, just this past weekend, we had an accordion player in to the recording studio. So we get some more accordion music in there, working with Matt Kern, who's our sound engineer, who's composing a lot of the music. I think he actually has a second accordion player coming in to get kind of a different feel to it. And another shot to the ramp without the lock is it not being lit.
Oh, this isn't beta code, is it?
That's crazy. We're seeing, but it wasn't lit. So.
All right,
I love it.
Hey, real quick, just to interject, Joe says he kind of wants to change that skill shot to be the in lane, then the right ramp, then the right orbit, then the beer barrel ramp instead of the right ramp over and over.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's make it absolutely impossible to do,
Yeah,
which
that's
is
fine.
fine with me because I don't have the skills to even make the current one. So yeah.
I almost made the in lane, and then I would have been screwed.
Guys, and do this. If you want to grab an Oktoberfest, call Zach right now. It's 847-778-4876. And I'll say it again. If you have questions or you want to order one of these, 847-778-4876. You can also send him an email at Zach, it's Z-A-C-H, at flipnoutpinball.com. He's got a couple in stock ready to ship. So if you want to get one of these games here in a few days, give him a call or an email. Let's get one going. It's fun. We'll link the machines online with the new technology coming.
What do we got?
So,
Player 3.
So we have a lot of new music coming in the game. Right now, there's only one of the main tracks in. There'll be 4.
So this is like the main. This is the main track.
No, this is the shooter group.
I like.
Okay.
I like it. Oh, and then.
All right.
And then
So once they'll go into the main
kind of
track.
rock and roll.
Right.
kinda-
So on the main tracks is one that's sort of this rock mix.
Right here.
Mix. Right.
Right here, yeah.
Then there'll be 2 that'll be a little more polka oompa, and then one that's going to be a little of a pop oompa mix. Is the current plan. So that's why we got the accordion guy
Wow,
in, and we
this
got another
game's gonna
accordion
be-
guy coming in.
I already love it.
Yeah.
And
hear
then
this
we're
is awesome.
shifting the music in a couple of modes, and a couple of modes don't have their real music yet. So still quite a bit of music. That we're getting into the game. This update really won't have much of it, but the next update will have a ton.
Awesome.
Player 4.
I got ruined.
Were you doing a one-handed?
No, are you supposed to do one? Hey, shut up, man. I was doing a one-handed. I was wondering why that flipper wasn't working. So it's good times, guys. I'll say this has been a fun night, and again, we want to thank Josh Kugler for coming in after work at American Pinball, streaming the game with us, jumping on the podcast mics, streaming on the Flippin' Out Pinball channel.
Answering questions.
I want to thank Joe Schober, too, for joining in chat here and answering a lot of questions and sharing. I wish he wasn't in Virginia. I wish he could be here with us. That would be super, super fun.
Yeah.
And for those of you that are watching, as Josh is this juggling mode? I think it's a 2-ball multi-ball that can be accessed immediately in the game. For those of you wondering what you're going to see on the Flippin' Out Pinball channel, it's going to be a little bit of Ken and Bill from Special One Lit with a little bit of Steve Bedi here. We're going to be streaming the new games from Flippin' Out Pinball as they get released. So when they're out, they're here, and we're there.
Yeah, always a good time. Yeah. So hopefully you guys enjoy, and we'll keep rocking the new stuff, and I'll probably having different guests on occasionally, and yeah.
Okay.
Choose a Stein. Lots of choices. Each has its own benefits.
So what do we got here? Pinball Nerds Podcast, Albert. I am always recruiting pin turn. So he's got a pin turn. We met Chris at TPF.
A lot of people probably
super
know
fun
Chris
guy.
and saw Chris at TPF.
Yeah. Chris is wearing the Willy Wonka gear. Which is
Come
pretty
on,
awesome.
I don't know, man.
Save Pinball Podcast. Full disclosure, I don't hate Twilight Zone as much as I let on. Hee hee. So they had an episode today where they were defending or attacking Twilight Zone. Are you a Twilight Zone fan?
I am a Twilight Zone.
I am too, actually. I like it a lot.
What I'll tell you is when Twilight Zone was first out on location, I was not a huge fan. It was such a tough game to learn and grasp, and it was sitting next to Addams Family and other games of that era, and you were putting money in.
Yep.
T2.
Chugfest. This is my
I have a Twilight Zone
forte.
in my collection. I've had one there for a long time. I don't have an Addams Family in my collection or any of those other games I played a lot then. It's it's a challenging layout. So for a game at home, it's sort of what you want.
Never mind.
Sometimes it kicks your ass. Sometimes you kick its ass, and that's one of the things that I like in a machine. I don't want a machine I'm going to step up and just have an easy time with each time. Those kind of games get old fast.
You don't want to run through the house on Addams Family 3 times on the first ball?
No. And Addams Family is it was a great game in its day. It's still a fun game to play. Once in a while I'll play it, but that's not in my collection's about 14 games, and that doesn't make.
So you have 14
No,
games.
You want to talk a little bit about your collection?
I would love to hear about the collection. And what pins were more impactful on your approach to programming, in your opinion?
Obviously,
This is Josh Kugler, programmer of Oktoberfest. Joe Schober is also here in chat. He's the other programmer on Oktoberfest. So.
Yeah, it was interesting. I just had this conversation very recently with Roger Sharp. Roger lives not far from me.
Roger Sharp.
And every once
Heard
in a
of
while, I'll reach out to Roger and invite him to a cup of coffee just to pick his brain on stuff. And he's very happy to do that. And my daughter actually has interned for his wife, so that sort of kind of got me. That sort of got me the in with Roger. Just to tell you that story, my daughter was a senior in high school and was looking to do an internship in art. She wants to go into art education, and through the school they set her up with an art studio as an intern. And I go to pick her up. She was like working after school on Saturdays. And I went to pick her up the second day she was working there on a Saturday. And she said, Ellen, the woman I'm working for, she and her husband, they're into pinball. I'm like, oh, that's great. We'll have to have them over sometime. And the next day my wife sends me a link. Oh, here's a story about Ellen in the paper. So I start to read the story, and it's Ellen Sharp.
There you go.
I know who it was. But recently I was having coffee with Roger, and we were talking about philosophy of rules, and he was kind of curious how my influences, and we talked about what was in my collection. And it's a lot of mode-oriented games. It's Twilight Zone, it's Lord of the Rings, it's Next Generation, which are all obviously very mode-oriented games. Simpsons Pinball Party, which has got a lot of everything in it, but it's also fundamentally a mode-oriented game, just with the ability to run them all at the same time, which is what makes that game great. Is the ability to stack every mode with every mode and extend the clock. What else do I have right now? The oldest game in my collection right now is a Williams Grand Prix.
Grand Prix.
So I think that's 72. Then I have a 78 Bally Playboy, home use only.
Nice.
I'm the second owner of that. Fell into that one. I got a phone call on a Saturday one day. A guy says, "Do you fix pinball machines?" And I'm like, "No, but I collect them." He goes, "Yeah, I had your name and your phone number in my wallet. It says pinball guy with your number." I'm like, "Okay." We finally figured out how we had met. He goes, "Yeah, I got this Playboy. I'm looking to get rid of it." He goes, "You interested?" I said, "Sure, I'll come over and take a look." And he wasn't far from me. And I go over, and the thing is just pristine. It had been sitting basically folded up or in two pieces for about 12 years.
Playboy?
Playboy. They had bought it, for their rec room years before. They had moved from their house to the condo they were in and had been sitting there ever since. So he says, "How about $400?" So I said, "How about 8?" And he looked at me. I said, "This game's worth a lot more than $400." I said,
that-
"I would
in that
feel,
condition,
I would
too."
feel really bad." And he's like, "You sure?" I said, "Well, if it turns out the displays have an issue, I'll let you know. We'll work out." I said, "But I would feel really bad." So the backlash have been in bubble wrap for, like I said, a dozen years.
Nice.
So the game is just in pristine condition. Zero fade. It never seen the light of day other than when it was moved from their house to the condo and then my house. So just a beautiful
Okay, so
machine.
you got a couple older games.
Right, I like having the mix. So then I
You
have
a mix.
Right, and I think that if you have more than 4 or 5 games, 6 games in your collection, it's really good to have a mix. So then I
agree.
have an 8-ball deluxe,
Okay.
a Centaur. So again, a couple of games from the early '80s, and drop target games. I'm a big fan of drop target games.
Yep.
What I'm missing right now is I don't have a late '80s game. I had a Black Knight 2000, which I loved. Don't have that. I'd like to get an Earth Shaker. That's one I'd like to get to fill
A
into
little
that.
System 11 action.
Yeah,
going
I'm
on
missing
there.
that System 11 game
Maybe
right
a little
now.
Whirlwind.
I
Yeah.
consider that as well. So I'd like to. That's sort of missing that era. I had a taxi at one time that I
Never
let
owned a
go.
taxi, but love one.
That was when I sold, and then immediately I had a bunch of people offering me a lot more money than what I sold it for. And
Well, that's
whatever.
that's what's going on in
It
pinball.
happens. What else do I currently have? Whitewater, which is a very different kind of a rule set, which I like, and at some point I can see incorporating some of that kind of very straightforward, don't have to think too much kind of a rule set in a game. I'm sure we would get destroyed on Pinside for it being too simple. I'd like to figure out how to do that, but then still have depth to a game. But a game that, it's just sort of work your way through it, progress through a game, kind of a thing. I have an Indianapolis 500 that I bought years ago for a buddy of mine in Michigan. I was trying to get hooked on pinball. He's a huge Indy 500 fan, has been to like the last 40 runnings of the race, and I've just never actually gotten the game from my basement to
his
him
house.
in Michigan. I'm probably
Great
missing
game.
something
I
else.
own
but,
for a short while.
I'm probably forgetting
Great
something.
Indy 500.
And then I have 2 custom games that I built from scratch,
Oh,
Nice.
which is how I got into American pinball.
Nice.
Yeah, you made TNA, right?
No,
I need to hear more about
I'm
this.
just kidding.
I do
Josh.
have code in TNA.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Choose a style.
Hey guys, listen, as we come up 4 minutes to 10 o'clock Central Time, we're going to finish this game off, and then we're going to do a proper sign-off, but we want to appreciate everybody's ability to come here and join us today. It's been fun. Joe and Josh have been awesome to have here and chat.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Josh with living close in proximity, being able to stop in the studio has been fun.
Learned a lot. Had a good
It's just
time.
it's been a really good time. It's nice to see familiar faces in the chat, but it's really nice to see unfamiliar faces in the chat too.
Yeah.
As the expansion of pinball keeps going and going, it's nice to see fresh faces, get fresh ideas, have people ask questions, and I think that's where this channel is going to really benefit the pinball, professional, the guy that's been playing pinball for a while, to see something that's new, and maybe the newcomer that's coming in that wants to know a little bit more about what pinball's all about. So, happy to be a part of it, man. So, Zach and Nicole, Flipping Out Pinball, thanks for letting us do this.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Once again, we wouldn't be doing this without you.
That's okay. I don't think we started in multi. I was in
What version of code is this? Is it on now? And I guess will it go to
All right. So what's today's date?
514?
So this is 18.5.14.
I like it. I like it.
So our versioning system, I'm not a fan of the .8, .9, and then people are like, 1.0, this is it. Yeah. I don't believe in that. So our versioning is really based on release date. So the current version's out. Most people either are on right now 18.3.21 or 18.4.11. So as I said, there'll be a open beta starting likely next week. And then if all goes well, the official release will likely be 18.5.27, I think will be the date.
Okay.
And this just makes it easier. Sometimes people are like, which version are you on? They're like, am I on .8, .9, .86? So it's a lot easier. And it also tells me the version number. I could immediately... Oh, did I say 18, not 19? Thank you, Joe. I've been drinking tequila. I'm allowed to do that. I'm still like on last year's numbering, right? 19.5.14 would be our numbering scheme. I'm writing all my dates wrong on checks still, too. Not that I actually ever write a check. So that's kind of the numbering that we have gone with, and it's a lot easier. Sometimes somebody will tell me what version, that I can immediately know that's really old, you know. That comes up with Houdini once in a while. Somebody will have a trouble updating the code. One of the changes we made in code updating is that the version number is now part of the code package. That wasn't the case originally on Houdini, but once you got to a certain update, it worked that way. Once in a while, somebody will call into Barry, our service tech. They can't do a code update, and I'll say, okay, well, what version are they on? And it'll be, like from January 8 of 2018. I'm like, okay, strip off the last part, and now you'll be good to go. With our code updates, at least so far, with no exception, you can always just go to the latest update. You don't have to go through every step of the way. It's possible at some point there could be some exception to that, but right now you just always go to the latest code. And code updates, you just download from the website, you throw it on a USB, open the coin door. There's a USB extension cable right there. You plug it in. The screen will tell you it's doing an update. It takes 3 or 4 minutes, and you're good to go. At the same time, if you stick a USB without game code, and it'll download the logs of the game, audits, copy of your settings. So anybody ever has an issue, we'll ask them to send us the logs. That's all they have to do.
Like a Deadpool update on there, like how would that work?
It'll do nothing with that. And by the way,
I like that it's on the coin door.
You can't do that, and you cannot put a Houdini update. I saw somebody posted on Pinside. It was I forget what game it was, that they had accidentally put Deadpool code on a different game. And it
That's
booted,
what I said, it happens.
and it actually, I guess it was close enough. It let them do that. So you cannot accidentally put Houdini code on an Oktoberfest and vice versa. And if you rename the file, then it'll attempt it, and all bets are off because it'll try to run the game. I can't imagine what would happen. Actually, I've seen that on my dev game. Yeah, don't do that.
Well, Josh, listen, you've been very generous with your time. Joe, you've been generous with your time too. I wanted to point something out. Scott at Penn Stadium, he's chatting with the community, saying how accessible you are, how you're able to take constructive criticism and have a conversation about it. And it's nice to know that there's somebody that's heavily involved in pinball at a major pinball company, manufacturer, that's involved in these games, that's listening to feedback, and something that you think makes sense, you consider implementing. So that's always welcome.
I am happy to take good ideas wherever they come from and claim them as my own.
As you should.
Because pretty much any great idea somebody has, the reality is I already thought of that previously. So it's okay. Joe tries to do that. I try to do that. It's certainly not easy at times, being on Pinside. Yeah. There's often I type things and then hit backspace. You do have to do that. You have to have a thick skin. We've tried occasionally, if the thread kind of turns bad, to try and turn it into, constructive criticism. There's something people don't like about the game, whatever aspect it is. We're happy to listen. If when we agree with things, we look to make changes. We're just hoping for people to be constructive. Obviously, there's some people on Pinside that are never constructive. They're just happy to be critical, and it's fun to be critical and say nasty things. And I guess if that makes people feel better about themselves, I guess that's a positive for them. But I think we've been able to do a pretty good job of interacting with everybody out there and getting ideas from them. And so far it's worked for us, and I hope to be able to continue to do that, and that we don't have to just abandon it because of what goes on there.
Well, we hope so too. And as we see, Oktoberfest now is catching full steam. If you want to go ahead, if you want to grab an Oktoberfest You can contact your distributor, Flipping Out Pinball, if you're at this channel. You can go ahead and contact Zach at 847-778-4876. There's a couple in stock ready to ship right now. You can have this pin in a couple days. If you want to email Zach, you can email him at zach@flipoutpinball. That's ZACH @flip, the letter N, outpinball.com. Give him a call. Talk about the game. He's not going to put you into a game that he doesn't think is going to be what you're looking for. But this is a game that I think appeals to a wide variety of people. You know, whether or not, deep code or shallow code or fun code or fun rule set. I mean, this game is, in my opinion, of just a fun pin to play with your friends. I mean, we had a blast night. 2 hours went by very, very fast.
I'm actually shocked that we're done. I had no clue we were this far done.
Right.
I haven't had a good game yet for crying out.
Nobody had a good game. We're not supposed to have good games.
This was just absolute. Nobody broke 1 million. I don't think anybody broke 500,000.
We had a good time though.
When you come next week,
absolutely embarrassing.
Josh, we're gonna do the 1 foot mode where you gotta get your foot up on the flipper.
We're gonna have to do this again so we
buttons.
can actually play better. And that was really an embarrassing amount of play. But hopefully people got to see it. I think we tried to get to most of the mode. I know there's some we did not get to, but hopefully people got a pretty good feel. I don't think anybody did ring toss. I know I was trying to get to that and then drained.
No, I like that though. I mean, I don't like showing everybody everything because you should be able to explore that on your own when you get a game.
One of the things you'll find with the modes, and this was something from day one that Joe Schober was really focused on as we were working through the modes, was to make sure that we took advantage of every aspect of the playfield. So ring toss focuses on the Oktoberfest targets on the side.
Right.
Sky slide is about the VUC. And when you are switching
and
through
for those that don't know,
temps,
a VUC it's
a vertical up kicker.
Right.
And that's the sky slide.
Right.
So the sky slide is focused on that. So the different modes focus on different aspects of the play field so that you get to explore, and we use all of the things that Balser put into the game. He creates these unique and different layouts, and we really wanted to leverage that. And when you are selecting modes, you'll notice that when you're in the tent selecting, based on the mode, we do flash in blue the shots that are involved in that mode.
Nice.
So you're probably not noticing that until you look for it, and it'll flash whatever it is, so you have a sense of what you're shooting for. So it's not that every mode is, there's 5 shots and you're going to shoot them in different patterns. We really try to use, loopers all about the left ramp. And so the 14 modes really try to make you do different things.
It's a lot of modes. So let's do this. Let's sign this off for this week, because what'll happen is next week we'll have another stream. We'll be back on Oktoberfest. We'll have a little bit of experience under our belts. Josh may or may not be here, but he's kind of taught us the ways. He's like the Yoda of American pinball. He's training us as young Padawans to become Jedis of Oktoberfest. So let's see our improvements over the course of the week. I want to take a time out and just say, hey, Scott from Pin Stadium, thank you so much.
Thank you, Scott.
This game for the stream has been illuminated by Pin Stadium, so thank you. I want to thank everybody that came in the chat. We got a lot of people that we know, and for those that we don't know, thanks for coming in and joining us. I want to thank Bill Webb. I want to thank Steve Bedi, my partners in crime. Josh, thank you.
Thank you. It was great being
This
here.
has been awesome.
Josh.
Joe Schober,
We'll do it again sometime.
you're
It's a
not
lot of fun.
here,
No, thank you.
but you're here in heart. And we appreciate that. And I also want to go ahead. I want to thank Zach and Nicole Many for allowing us to stream under Flipping Out Pinball. And again, in closing, it's not a commercial. But if you want to get an Oktoberfest or you want to get some pinball going, give Zach a call, 847-778-4876, or just email him. And that's Zach at flipnoutpinball.com, ZACH at flip, the letter N, outpinball.com.
And Zach, I'm sure I'll be hearing from you tomorrow, because if you only have 2 in stock, I suspect you're going to probably need a few more. So we'll talk to you tomorrow.
That's right. And if you know what, if you only caught a part of the stream and you want to hear a little bit more about what happened earlier, because there are some stories, go ahead, go to the Flipping Out Pinball YouTube channel or check the stream channel. This is all archived. So go ahead, go back, figure out what's going on, listen to what this man says, because this is the mastermind behind the game.
Now, I have been drinking, so for any of the people I insulted, I'm blaming it on the tequila. So I'm just declaring that.
All good. All good.
For Josh Kugler, Bill Webb, and Steve Bedi, I'm Ken Cromwell. Thank you guys so much for joining us on the Flipping Out Pinball Twitch Network. still live. No.
All right, let's play some pinball.
Well, yeah. No, all right. Well, good.
Are we muted now? Are we off? All
Mics
right.
are still live.
Are you kicking us out? I'm not.
No, we're not kicking.
All right.
This is where we do the. Now we can blow up the
Oh,
machine.
now you can actually talk to people.
Yeah.
You might want to get your computer over here and like chat or.
Well, no, I mean we can keep chat open for anybody that wants to stick around, but the stream is officially over.
And the mics are dead, right?
No, the mics are live.
Mics
man.
are live.
Mics are
Alright.
live.
So we can still answer questions.
This is like the after hours party here. So if we got some after hours, let's do some after hours. I know Bill, you got to work early. If you got to cruise,
I gotta roll.
we can cruise out. Bill Webb's gonna be out like trout.
Everybody have a good night.
A good morning, good afternoon, or good evening.
Good evening, good afternoon.
Right.
whatever.
And whatever you do, don't forget to take some time out of your day and play some pinball.
Absolutely.
Good times. You want me to walk you up there, man?
No, I'm
Bad
sure I know
neighborhood.
where the door is.
All right, so let's see.
Hitting me.
Brown chicken cow. How was it, man? Did you have fun?
Yeah, it was great.
I can't thank you enough for coming
yeah,
out.
It was a lot of
awesome.
fun. I'm really surprised how fast that went.
It went by very fast.
Yeah, a couple of good stories we didn't even get to. We'll have
I
to do them
know.
next
That's what I'm
time.
saying. Well, we got to keep some in the can.
Yeah, I'll have them for the next time.
You know what we should consider doing if you're up for it is we should maybe think about doing a making of the Oktoberfest like a podcast or something.
Yeah,
And
we could
then
kind of
that'd be
do
kinda
one
fun.
about talk through the evolution and the history of the game.
For sure.
Every game has its ups and downs.
Right.
Through it, certainly our Oktoberfest journey was different than our Houdini.
Bye,
journey.
Albert. Thanks, buddy.
So certainly different experiences, and
Right.
Game 3 is unique in itself as well. And,
Right.
And I'm sure Game 4 will be its own adventure.
So I'm like secretly hoping of what I want Game 3 to be, and we discussed this on our podcast that we recorded earlier, and it'll be uploaded tomorrow. So I'm just curious to get kind of your feedback on what I was anticipating and hoping. I know you can't confirm anything, but it's exciting times. I like that you guys are 2 pins in, and that the company's sustainable and successful enough to be thinking about a 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Because what seems to be happening is it's hard for most companies to get that first pin out.
We always joke about pinball is hard.
Yeah.
And it is. And, people sometimes underestimate that or they think they're joking. And what's funny is coming from the homebrew custom pinball community, and I've watched dozens and dozens of people jump into that, and many of them, for lack of a term, crash and burn.
Yeah.
There's a tremendous enthusiasm, and then as they get into it, they realize it really is hard. And, you might have a particular skill set that can carry you through part of it, but there's so much involved in a pinball machine, from the designing a layout and
By Dennis.
to be able to create rules and then be able to code rules and art and animation and sound and understanding the electrical aspects of it,
Right.
which is beyond game design, and the electronics and all
Dennis is
of
lurking.
that.
Dennis Kreesel's lurking. He's lurking on you, Josh. So just so you know, be careful.
Okay.
He's getting material for his show.
All right. That's fair.
Okay.
So, there's so much involved, and, you see some of these projects and they're going great, and then they just fade away because they get to the point where either they've lost the enthusiasm or they've now gotten to that part that's outside their skill set. And having successfully built
Where do you
2
find
games,
most of these games stall out? It's not at the manufacturing standpoint, because a lot of these games never make it.
they
that
never
far.
get close to that. So
Right.
sometimes it's, somebody will be excited and they'll quickly get a partially flipping, and then they realize there's so much more to do. So whether it's the skill to create that, or then it's the software, are they able to get enough software to flip but not develop rules? And sometimes you just lose your drive. It takes a tremendous amount of work. The people who have built successful and complete games, we'll tell you, a great example of that is Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yes.
Mark and City's game. Mark went gangbusters early, had a flipping game, and then there was probably a year lull where he kind of wasn't making much progress, and then he kind of got his second wind, and then he got a lot of his artwork done, and then he kind of had a pause, and he got his third wind, and redid his ramps and got the medal, and that game has really come together. But I'm betting at this point it's 4 years that it took him to get there, and he's put a lot of work, and it's a tremendous effort. And in homebrew there's lots of ways, and that's a complete custom game. And then you can look at Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
Right.
Done by Michael Ocean and Dave Nelson. Which
Local guys, or where are those guys out of?
Well, that's a great part of their story. Dave is here in Chicago.
It's like Naperville area, isn't he? Or
Yep.
no?
And Michael is in Boston, and they worked on Buffy and had never met. And the first time they met was at Expo, and it was the first time that the first time they ever met, and the first time Michael got to play the game. So Michael coded the game.
This is how we get the scoops
Completely.
right
This
now,
is
right?
the scoop.
Right.
The scoop episode.
Tequila and after hours.
Oh,
Michael.
Speaking of tequila.
No, I'm good because I don't have to drive in a little bit.
All right.
So Michael coded the game on a laptop, never saw the physical machine, and that was a retheme of a Swords of Fury.
Okay.
Although they actually modified the playfield a little bit, so they created a new playfield based on it, but made some tweaks, but used all the mechanisms from it. Michael coded it. Dave did all the physical work in redoing it. They had never met until Expo, and it was also the first time Michael got to play
amazing.
the game. Wrath of Olympus was somewhat similar.
Right,
That
right.
was a virtual game, and then Scott Gulix, who did the physical game, and Frank. Sorry, Frank, I'm forgetting his last name. It'll
okay.
come to me. Frank did the code, and they had never met until they got together at Expo, and it was the first time Frank got to play the game. Joe Schober will tell you that I think the first time he ever played Alien, I might have this wrong, but I think the first time I ever played Alien was like a day or a few hours before it was
Joe wants to make
revealed.
sure you know this is live. Joe Schober's like, you know this is live, right?
Yes, I know this
We're
is
on. This
live.
is the Flippin' Out Pinball After Hours party.
I know this is live, so Joe's
So-
going to correct me here if I'm wrong on this, right?
Right,
Like I
right.
said, and I believe Joe, the first time he played
Just
Alien
chatting or
was
pinball
just like the
category.
day before or hours before it was shown. So he did all the coding on
Right.
that originally without seeing the game. So it's very interesting some of these homebrew things who have happened with guys in different cities because you found the guys with the right skill sets.
Yeah,
You needed
yeah.
the software guy. You needed the
To
the
do that
hardware
all
guy.
yourself, though,
But see, but what's the
seems
most
almost impossible.
What's
And
the
then
most
it's-
important aspect to a homebrew build? I mean, I know there's tons of aspects, but I mean,
I don't know
what-
if there's one important because just like with any pinball machine, it all has
a
to
team.
come
for it to
together.
work. For it
Yeah.
to work. Yeah.
Right. I guess you need a bunch of
Matt,
crazy-minded people that are going to put forth the time and effort.
Well, you do have
What
to
it
be
comes down
insane.
to.
And one of the most insane guys is Matt Bonema. I think that's how he pronounced his last name. Who's done 2 games. He did Deadpool, and then he did
Doom. Sitting
Doom.
over here.
And he not Deadpool, Deadpin. Sorry, he did Deadpin, and then he did Doom. And he does some of the most incredible metal work. So now he doesn't
Yeah,
do the game. The software is not his strength, but he's learned to do it.
Right.
He does such incredible metal work and attention to detail. I think his games are on Pinside. You can go find them. What he did with Doom is just incredible. The look of the game. So he's pretty insane. And then you have people like Eric Pripke, who did Cactus Canyon Continued.
Yep.
Yes.
So, Eric's somebody who says, I'm never doing a custom game because
that's a hugely popular
It is.
add-on to a rule set.
it's incredible what we did. I had a debate with him years ago as to who was crazier, him or I. He felt I was crazier for doing a custom game from scratch, and I thought he was crazy to take an existing game and recreate the rules and then expand it. Because I said, you know what? Anything you get wrong, you're going to hear about it from people.
Right.
All right. What's Joe yelling?
So
at?
Joe's saying, he said, "quote I first played Alien 2 hours before it debuted to the public.
All right,
The public.
2 hours. Okay.
I was so nervous." And then he says, "Totally not crazy." He.
Okay, right. So all right, I knew I was close on this. So it was 2 hours before the first
Right.
time he ever played it. So how crazy is that? And so on the Oktoberfest was a dream compared to that. We got him one, a few weeks before.
Yeah. Dennis
and
from
that
Eclectic
actually-
Gamers. Just to interject real quick because I know Joe's here for now. I said Alien software was the best part of the game. Very nice design to the modes on proper improper shots. But I think I've mentioned that before, and I apologize. I'm not stumbling my words because I can't read. It's just the distance here is challenging to read.
It's not that great. I'm
I
not
just
sure
noticed
why
I
it's
was
so blurry.
leaning in the screen. And it's
Right.
because I was
because you were leaning a little bit.
trying to
Right.
trying to read it.
So Joe thanked Dennis for the compliments. And then Scott from Pin Stadium said he installed Cactus Canyon Continued on his machine, and it blew my mind.
Yeah, I mean, what Eric did on that's incredible. And Eric is actually now doing some work for Spooky. I believe he's working with Scott Denisi on Scott's second game.
Yep, good.
Obviously, TNA, a tremendous homebrew project.
I think TNA kind of paved the way for people to have hope that
It
their
really
homebrew
did.
designs
It
could
really
actually
did.
go to manufacturing.
It
right?
could,
Yeah.
and and when you look at Scott's game, he never did the art because I think he knew that was going to be one of the parts he was going to struggle
he was
with.
lacking,
So it
yeah.
worked out great. He didn't have to
Right.
do the art,
Right.
right?
Right.
'Cause They brought somebody else in to do the art, and I believe on game 2 he's not really doing the code.
He's not. I asked him
Because
he doesn't want to code.
He's not a coder.
Yeah.
And I joke that I have code in TNA, and I do, and other people do, because we help Scott, and I talk to Scott probably multiple times a week on stuff, and I'll throw ideas at him and stuff, or help him with stuff, and he'll help me with stuff, whatever it is.
It's just funny because when I think of a programmer, we're sitting down, we're having this conversation. Friends with Dwight Sullivan, Tanya Kleiss, you guys are a different animal. You're cut from a different cloth where you can approach a game and attack it in a way that most people can't wrap their heads around, as far as having ideas and then being able to program those ideas and have them playable and enjoyable and flippable on a pinball machine.
Well, it's true, but at the same time, some ideas don't work.
Yeah,
Calorie Coma, one of the modes in Oktoberfest. I recently coded this, and I said to Joe, try it out. And I wasn't happy with it. And he basically came back and said, "Yeah, this would be a mode I would avoid playing." Right. And I couldn't disagree with him. And I'm like, yeah, it didn't come together like I thought it would.
Right,
and
right.
Then we talked about it a little bit, and then that night I meditated on it, and I thought about it. I came back the next day, and I said, "Okay, here are the new rules for it." He's like, "Yeah, okay, I think that can work." And sometimes you have it in your head, and then you do it, and you try it, and you're like, "Yeah, this just sucks.
That's not working."
And so there's a new version I'm implementing of it now that I think will work a lot better. And fortunately, we have the time and opportunity to do that. And we try to come up and be creative and do different things. And most of the time, fortunately, it hits. Occasionally, it's a miss.
Right.
And you back off and you say, okay, either throw it out or start over or whatever it is. So not every idea works.
Let me take you outside of the world of American pinball, and just because we're talking about Cactus Canyon Continued. So, for instance, somebody that coded Cactus Canyon Continued. Now, let's say that CGC, they go ahead with the remake of Cactus Canyon. What are the issues that have to be dealt with if they wanted to use that continued code? Is that something that you think would happen, or do you think that there would have to be a completely different approach to expanding on that current rule set of Cactus Canyon? Because I know arguably, maybe not so arguably, a lot of people consider that game unfinished.
Yeah.
Well, I
But
don't.
the Cactus Canyon Continued has been so popular.
It's really great code, and Eric did some great stuff there, and I stole something from Eric in that code, and I'll happily give him credit.
You're
that
like the
I-
Hamburglar of code.
that I stole
What
from
was
him.
that, Josh?
In Houdini, we have a mode. It is the Return from Beyond, where you get only 30 flips to complete the task, and that limited flip thing was something I think it's one of the mini modes on Cactus Canyon. And I thought that was a really creative thing.
Yeah.
With the outlane modes, where it's sort of a case I could do that in a normal mode on a traditional game, you're probably not doing something like that. But on an outlane mode where you've lost your ball and I'm giving you a chance to have it back,
Yeah, that's
I
fun.
felt I could do it.
Who doesn't
So
want
I
a
thought-
chance to saving the ball?
So I
right?
thought that idea was a great opportunity to be able to take that.
Good deal. So Josh says, or Joe says, Josh is right. And to be fair, I've had some bombs of ideas too. You got to be willing to play test, see what works and see what doesn't. And then he follows up by saying, in my opinion, one of the most important things in any software dev job is being willing to try things, not get married to them, embrace the great experiments, and abandon the bad experiments. That should be on a shirt or
Should
a
be.
pinball flag or something.
Absolutely.
Right.
If you're not willing to, say something's bad and throw it away
Right.
because it is, and just stick to your guns, that's not going to be a very good product. And
Right.
because you're going to lose the respect of your peers when they're like, yeah, you can't see the forest for the trees, or it's your idea and you're not going to let it go.
Well, that ties into you guys, taking the criticism and changing things.
Evolving based on
Evolving,
feedback.
yeah,
for sure.
Sometimes people criticize, and we talk. Joe and Al talk about it, and we'll say the police is completely wrong about that. They're wrong. And sometimes you go, they're right about that. Or you think about it for a few days, and you say, yeah, maybe that's not as good as it could be. That's absolutely part of it, and that's why we're open to the feedback and we read it. And yeah, some of it we listen to, and some of it we say, okay, this person's clueless.
Yep.
And,
Most of the time.
Right.
I'll tell you, go read the thread. You'll read some things, and and then somebody pops in, and you're like,
for sure.
Have this person played the game?
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes you just get
Most
some
likely
really
not.
wacky stuff that comes from people.
Yeah.
But on the Cactus Canyon Continued thing, Eric made that a much better game than it was, and
Right.
anybody knows that the game was never really finished. It was kind of at the end of that.
It was 1997, right? That game came out.
I'm not sure
Yeah,
that's
it
a
was
great.
one of the later ones.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was at the very end.
Yeah.
Yep.
If they remake it,
What's up, Bazzy34?
they will not be using Eric's code. I don't think he's interested in having them take his stuff for a variety of reasons. But they're going to have to finish the code in some way if they're going to do it.
Right, you can't release that as is.
No.
I mean, and that's got to be part of the appeal of the
But,
remake. Is
I don't
having
know if
something
it's
there.
a great a great game
Mm-hmm.
to make. I think certain games are highly desired because they're rare and people haven't had a chance to play them.
Right.
Yeah.
Big Bang Bar is a fun game.
Right.
It's not a great game.
Doesn't lend itself well.
I could
for-
name,
yeah.
easily come up with a dozen games I'd want in my collection before it. I know 3 or 4 people that have it. I've had the opportunity to play it.
Yeah.
It's a fun game. It was.
What about
remade.
Kingpin? I mean, what are your opinions on that? Because that's another one of those rare games that didn't really make it out, and now you're seeing that potentially resurface.
Right. I've only had a chance to shoot Kingpin a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
I can't, and I've enjoyed shooting it.
Great.
I like the fact that they're looking to not just have the original rules, but kind of expand it and do more with it.
Sure.
Which is, I think, critical to make it a success in the current marketplace. But it's a really good shooter. So I'm really curious to see what they do with that.
Okay.
When they remake it, are they going to be able to sell 5,000 of them? No, I don't think so. But I think it's a game that people will enjoy having in their collection. I think there's
Bang
a lot
out
to it.
100, maybe. I mean, just get them out there.
No, I think they can do.
Would
I
that be
think,
another one where they, maybe change some rules around?
yeah, their plan is, I think, to have the original rules and then an expanded rule set. I think they're
Okay,
still figuring out what to
okay.
do with animations, and that's a big part of it. And I think that's part of it too. No, it wouldn't surprise me if they could sell 500 or 1,000
Bye, Carrie.
of those games because it is a unique and rare game, but it's a fun shooting game,
Yeah.
and that's critical. So sometimes these games, aren't there. So again, could you do 500 of Big Bang Bar? Absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
it is a fun game,
Barfing hell.
but it's not the game that people. Some people think it's, oh my God, the greatest game ever. It's not.
Yeah.
It's a good game. It's not a great game in
Right,
that regard.
right.
And I think that's a challenge. It'll be interesting with Chicago gaming. Medieval, obviously a great game. Very hard to get.
Yeah.
Monster Bash. It's a really fun game.
Right.
It certainly was ready for a remake. There weren't enough out there for people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to see as they go which titles they find there's enough demand for to bring back at.
That's the thing. You can't bring out like an Adams Family where there was like 10,000 plus that went out. I mean, there's
People
enough
are-
out there.
people
Well,
Right?
there are
are claiming for
20,000
it.
made, but at
Yeah.
the same time, I
What
bet
about, like,
you
theater?
to
Like-
have a new one that people would, they could probably move a bunch that people would want a brand new one. I mean, there's 20,000
Yeah,
out there,
that's true.
18,000 of which are trash.
Trash.
right?
Completely trash.
Let's do this, Josh, because we're going to transition out of here in 4 minutes. But I want to bring everything back to American Pinball real quick. And if you can speak on this, great. And if you can, it's no problem. But I know that at one point when Nirmal was on our special Win Lit Pinball podcast, he talked about opening up a line for contract manufacturing. And Scott from Penn Stadium, he's also kind of seconding the question. Is that still an idea that you guys might have where you might have a line out for somebody that does have a homebrew or something that might be ready to go to production? Are there still options with American Pinball for you guys to help and aid and bring a game
Absolutely.
to the masses?
It's something
Okay.
we're interested to. It has to be the right game. The money aspects have to make sense around it.
Right.
The theme, those types of things. One of the challenges, obviously, a lot of homebrew guys are doing licensed themes.
Yep.
So then you still
That's
have
tough.
to potentially work through
Yeah.
that. One of the issues, and this was kind of a big eye opener for me having done homebrew games, is that the level of detail required for a commercial game is so dramatically different than a custom game that a lot of people think, oh, look at this game, it's ready to go. And it's not remotely ready to go. the detail needed to be able to, when you do a homebrew game, you make a flat rail, you get a piece of metal, you try and get the right kind of stainless, and then you bend it on your knee or you bend the rig,
exactly.
Or
you need something to replicate
you
that.
line it up and you kind of
Yeah.
drill holes and you do things like that. That doesn't work for production.
Production.
That level of detail that's required on that. The development of cable harnesses that are going to be the right way. The software requirements are far greater. You need real service modes. You need code updating. There's all these.
And this is Josh Kugler, one of the programmers. He programmed Houdini and he co-programmed Oktoberfest with Joe Schober. Joe Schober's in chat. Josh Kugler is here. So we're wrapping this up, but. For those of you that might be popping in and being like, who are these guys talking to? And I'm Ken Cromwell from Special One Lit, and that's my buddy Steve Bedi. All right, here we go. So I'm sorry, Josh. I just want to interject.
So that's part of the challenge, that the amount of work involved is sometimes greater. So I think somebody thinks, I got this game, and they're going to pay me millions.
Right.
And first of all, nobody makes big money in pinball. I can assure you that Joe could be making a lot more money outside of pinball. I took a massive salary cut to come do pinball, but you know what? Every day I come to work and I'm making pinball machines.
That's awesome,
man. So for
I'll
me,
tell you what,
this
I
is sort of a
appreciate
second
that.
career for me, and I had the opportunity,
Yeah,
fortunately, busting my ass in my first career to allow me to kind of pursue my passion and do something fun. I think Joe would probably make similar comments about that. We're fortunate we were able
Awesome,
to do that and have fun.
I hope
and
to
I'm gonna
meet
keep
Joe
doing it as long
at
as
a
it's
show or
fun.
something. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean that's good.
Actually, we scheduled this run. Joe was here last week.
I just
he was here in
missed him.
Chicago for a week.
Okay.
He and I were working from early in the morning till late at night, taking advantage of his time here working on Oktoberfest.
I'm sure he loved the trip out, right? It's like, what the heck?
If he's coming to town, it's like I abandoned my family for a week.
Yeah, right.
Literally, because I think he and I was picking him up at his hotel every morning at 8. We'd have some breakfast, talk about the day, and then I was dropping him off at like 10:30 at night.
Wow.
And we did that for 4 straight days to maximize the time working on Oktoberfest, working on improvements to our toolkit. And starting, talking about, stuff on the future games.
Perfect. Well, listen, guys, we're going to wrap this up. For those of you that might have missed it and you want to hear, Josh talk about Oktoberfest as we kind of played and learned in real time. If you want to see Joe Schober and his interaction with chat, you can go to this. I mean, you're here right now. It's the Twitch channel. If you haven't followed this Flippin' Out Pinball channel. But you can also watch this on archive. I'm sure it'll be here on the Flippin' Out Pinball channel. And I would also suspect that there will be a YouTube channel set up to watch this. But Josh, thank you so much, man. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun, guys.
Bill Webb is out like trout, but for Steve Bedi and Josh Kugler, I'm Ken Cromwell. We appreciate everything. We'll sign this one off tonight, guys. Thank you so much. You good?
Thanks.
I'm gonna play
guys.
the Flippin' Out commercial one more time. And then we'll sign this thing off. Who doesn't like a Flippin' Out commercial, right? Let's do that.
I like Joe's finish to it.
What'd he say?
He said I was right. This is a passion, not a wise career choice.
That's right. Can't blame me for your passion there.
Right, and it's if you can do it, it's great. But you have to be a little insane.
Well, we appreciate you guys.